not an oversight in God's plan, but an integral part of our growth process. God led many Old Testament patriarchs to the desert. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob all had wilderness experiences. It was in the desert that God prepared Moses' heart and called him to lead his people out of slavery. And it was in the desert that God watched over the Israelites' journey for 40 years with his help and guidance. God was with Moses and the Israelites each step of their way through the desert, and he's with you and me in ours. In the desert, we learn to rely on God. There he meets us, and there we grow. Today's encouragement was provided by Our Daily Bread Ministries.
Life is hard. God is good. Ever hear that? Maybe you believe it. Are you living in light of it? Each day on Chris Fabry Live, we try to go someplace in life that is hard to find the goodness of God, to discover his faithfulness, his unfailing love, and the hope that he gives, in spite of our circumstances. Join us at the Radio Backyard Fence.
God is good, and so is Chris Fabry Live, Monday through Friday afternoons at 3 p.m.
Moody Radio Cleveland.
Broadcasting since 1958.
WCRF Cleveland. WVMS Sandusky. WVML Millersburg. WVMN Newcastle. WVME Meadville. WVMU Ashtabula. And everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
I just wanted to say thank you for being here.
Senator Bernie Sanders says the U.S. should cut off aid to Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The Vermont Independent told ABC's This Week the U.S. should not be sending Israel aid while its military is killing innocent Palestinians and creating a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Sanders condemned what he called the ongoing policy of Netanyahu's right-wing extremist government. A weekend accident on Kelly's Island left 3 women suffering from serious injuries. Authorities say the women were traveling in a golf cart when the driver lost control and crashed, with the victims all ejected from the vehicle. And a brand of apple juice sold by Walmart is the subject of a product recall. Select packages of 8-ounce bottles of Great Value apple juice, sold in 6-pack plastic bottles, are being recalled due to what is described as an elevated level of inorganic arsenic. The FDA says the 9,500 impacted cases were sold at Walmart stores in 25 states, including Ohio and Pennsylvania. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
So many ask, why is there human suffering? The book of Job directly addresses that question. And this month, Today in the Word takes readers through an in-depth study of Job in our new devotional, Seeking Answers. Join devotional author Dr. Eric Moore and over 1 million readers for this month's study. Download our free Today in the Word app or go to todayintheword.org. Be encouraged to remain strong in your faith during times of suffering.
In sports, the Guardians doubled up the Rangers 4-2. The Pirates walked off the Reds 4-3. And in the final preseason games, the Browns fell to the Seahawks 37-33. The Steelers lost to the Lions 24-17. That's all behind us now. From now on, the games really count. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny this morning, then becoming partly cloudy. It is going to be hot today, with the high temperature in the lower 90s. At last check, mostly cloudy, 69 in Cleveland. Akron and Canton, clear skies and 70 degrees. And in Ashtabula, it's mostly cloudy and 66.
It's time for your moron moment.
We don't know who created National Toilet Paper Day, but they surely deserve a shout-out for dedicating a day to honoring this humble yet important invention that is on the shopping list for many a trip to the supermarket. It wasn't until 1857 that toilet paper began being sold in the United States. Back then, toilet paper was loose, flat sheets of paper. Then, in 1930, the Germans invented the perforated rolls we have today, consisting of 1,000 small sheets that were separated by a perforation. In the 60s, toilet paper even came in different colors, especially in pink and green, to match the popular bathroom hues. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:03. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Well, hey, guys.
Hola.
What's happening? It's going to be hot this week.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the cool weather already.
Yeah, Ron's going to be floating in his pool, I think, all week.
Probably.
Can you broadcast from a pool?
The water and the electricity don't always go well together.
Go right to the edge, couldn't
And
you?
just shout at the deck. Maybe you put your stuff on the deck and you shout.
Yeah, have like a shotgun mic that picks up from a distance.
There you go.
Hey, everybody.
We've solved it. We've solved all the problems.
But who wants to be in their pool at 6 a.m.?
Me.
If I had a pool, I might be using it at 6 a.m.
Well, I hope you all had a great weekend. Anything interesting in your world, Daria?
Yeah, so we just bought a new house, and it's 100 years old, so it needs some stuff done to it. So we are making some updates, and yesterday Jimmy was crawling under the house. And
okay, so it's like a crawl space area,
I don't know. I just know that I was in our sunroom, and he was talking to somebody, and I could hear him, and I'm like, where is he? I'm like, oh, he's under me.
And
He's underneath the house.
And you're not going to do that.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Can you imagine? I don't want to do that. I would do it if I had to, but there's probably a lot going on down there.
I get kind of claustrophobic with stuff like that.
Bugs and animals.
Spiders.
So he's under the house, and he gets done. He's out. I mean, he's just covered from head to toe in dirt and mud because it had rained yesterday morning while we were at church. So I made a mistake of trying to clean the house while he's under the house.
Yeah.
And so he gets in, goes to the bathroom. He's going to shower, of course, because he's covered. Yeah. And our room and the bathroom are connected with the vent. And I just hear him go, oh, Daria, I'm so sorry. Because he got dirt everywhere.
Jimmy.
And I would have said, and now you're going to clean the bathroom.
That's
well,
right.
He was under
I just did it.
He was under the house, so the least I can do is sweep the floor. But I did go downstairs, and he took his shoes off, but he walked through the whole kitchen before doing that.
Oh, no.
And we have
Jimmy.
and we have a sunroom. So I said, hey, next time you're under the house, can you just leave your shirt and your shoes outside in the sunroom?
Right.
Well, or you can get one of those spray nozzles for your hose, and you can just have him stand
I should have hosed him
there.
down outside.
All right, Jimmy, turn around.
I should have done that. Yeah, I think he's got to go back under there again today, so I'll give you an update.
Yeah, hose him down.
There you go.
Hose, yes, exactly.
It'll be hot, so I like it.
And if he doesn't, it doesn't matter. It's better to have water on the floor.
That's right.
Yeah.
Than dirt. Ron, anything in your world over the weekend? Grandkids?
Yeah, the grandkids came over Saturday and Sunday. Sunday we had a pool party with some other friends too.
Look at you.
It was a good weekend. I've got a play set that I'd built for the kids, and some yellow jackets seem to feel like it's their play set. So
well, it's not.
I've been on a campaign to find where they're hiding and eliminate them.
Did you get the spray where you can stand like
I love
50
that spray.
feet back?
Oh, I love that spray.
Yeah. I just haven't found where their nest is. I spray a few holes and wait, and nothing seems to happen. But I did go to the big box store and get traps, yellow jacket traps. They're like...
No, they could be kept.
You put peanut butter on them? Or?
Well, they're like, the Japanese beetle traps. Have you seen them?
Oh, yeah.
They were big years ago.
They go in and they can't get out.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
It's the same concept. You just do a little preparation work for it, and within minutes, you've got it hanging on a tree. And I have collected hundreds of yellow jackets.
Ew.
But there's still probably hundreds
upsetting.
more that are trying to ruin our
hundreds
fun. Yes.
You have more of a hotel than a it's like a vacation spot for the yellow jackets.
It could be.
Yeah,
Well, they have the pool. They have an Airbnb.
Right.
Ron's house is very nice.
Lots of people to sting.
Yeah.
Are those the ones that die after they?
Yeah, they leave their little butt behind with the stinger.
See,
don't feel sad for them. Please don't. It hurts.
It does.
If I was one of them, I would not sting people because I'd want to, live.
Maybe
yeah.
they don't know.
You think word would spread by now?
Well, they die, so how would word spread?
Well, how did Jimmy die? I don't know. Sorry, not Jimmy. It's my go-to name. I can't help
Change
it.
it to like Billy or Bobby.
It doesn't come out. It's just the J sound.
It's too late for him to change it. It's fine. I think I think it's funny actually.
I tried. It's my John Doe. But
yeah.
I just, Ron, I had a couple of stings at my place, but I was fortunate enough to find where they were going in.
Oh, good.
I could see them all going in, and I got that spray, and I stood way far back, and I gave them like a quadruple dose.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't make it.
Yeah. I saw a chipmunk going underneath some of our stepping stones.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
I said, no. He dove. It was like basically he jumped in the air and dove straight into
It's like a little hole?
Yes.
What did you do?
Nothing.
You're not going to be the groundskeeper
No, because I was
from Caddyshack?
scared. I was scared if I walked over there, he'd like jump back out at me.
I don't think chipmunks are that brazen.
Yeah, they're not.
You guys didn't see this one.
They're
He
scared
went
of you.
straight into the air and dove straight back down into the ground.
It's not out to get you. It's.
Well,
can you imagine if
You
there
and
was a
nature,
giant?
you've got a
Oh
problem.
yeah, we don't work well together.
You're more of an inside kind of gal.
Yes.
Okay, and you've got. I'm sure you have something. From
Plenty
the
of
weekend.
stories. Do you want a personal story or a child story?
Daria, what do you pick?
You said something about Trey that I was really interested in.
Yes, Trey likes to do puzzles while we're having any meal. He just works on his little puzzles while he eats.
He's got to be busy.
He's got to be busy. And he wants your help, but he doesn't want you touching it. So I'm not really sure what the help is. Maybe just presence.
Yeah.
The ministry of presence, you're there.
Encouragement.
Yeah.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
But help me.
Yeah, if I try to put a piece in, he gets very upset. So he has mixed, there's a puzzle box that's come with 4 different puzzles, but they are numbered. But he's mixed them all together.
Oh, boy.
So you have to sort out which number you want before you can even start, which I think he thinks is part of the fun. I don't.
Yeah,
so
that's not fun,
no,
Trey.
I'm sorting them by number. And I just couldn't find a couple of the last pieces. And I was like, man, where are these pieces? This is really upsetting. Like, we lose these pieces all over the house. And Trey looks at me and goes, you just have to have some patience, Mom.
Oh. Wow.
Right.
So.
You'll have to use that phrase against him, I don't know, this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll just
I'm
have to
sure.
have some patience, Trey.
Where did he learn it? Probably from me. So,
Oh, boy, it's true, isn't it?
yes.
Ugh. Give us one more. I know you've got like a bunch of them.
I was driving home. It was probably Friday, maybe Thursday. And our friend, fake Mr. Brian, which is a man that looks like Brian, that lives on our street. And he walks up and down the street multiple times a day. Around 12 o'clock, when I'm pulling into the driveway, he's walking in front of our driveway. That's just his routine and my routine.
And you can't yell out hello to at least break the ice?
No, I'm not going to roll down my window and yell at a stranger.
In some neighborhoods, people would do that.
So Eddie and Trey are outside because Trey he likes to hop in the car for the drive up the driveway when I arrive.
It's a long driveway.
It is a long driveway. And so he's outside in the front. And I hear, as I'm pulling up, I hear Eddie say, no, you can't yell and point at fake Mr. Brian. Because he wants to yell, hey, it's fake Mr. Brian. And apparently points at him.
Do you think this guy has heard this
Maybe,
by now?
probably.
You gotta say. I mean,
So now he's going home to his family. He's like, yeah,
Who's
there's
this
this like
kid?"
really strange woman and her family, and they keep calling me fake Mr. Brian. Like, do you know what this is about?
So I wonder how much Eddie has had to deal with that. Because he sounded like really,
Like,
over
I'm
it.
over this.
Yeah, so apparently it's been an ongoing conversation if you can't yell at fake Mr. Brian.
that's hilarious. I think we
points.
should send Ron over there. Ron, you'd have no trouble talking to this guy.
No, I would chase him down.
He
Excuse me,
runs.
sir. Excuse me.
Are you keeping a log yet of when he walks past so we can...
I know when he walks past.
Like, what time?
It's probably like 12:10, 12:15.
Ron's sleeping.
So
I'll have to come over one of these days.
12:10, 12:15ish. He's
Hello, me.
Yeah.
You should just host the whole office for lunch so we can all see this
We'll all
guy.
sit outside.
That would actually be awesome.
Yeah, we'll sit on the front porch and we'll find him. Fake Mr. Brian.
It's decided.
Okay.
And then we could have them sit side by side and we'd all walk around the house. So we come back. Which one's which? Can you spot the real Brian?
Okay, so in my world, it's first day of school today.
Congratulations.
Wow, you got a late start.
Yeah, it's one of the later ones. A lot of schools are already in session. We had some construction in the school. Maybe that's what it was. We don't know exactly why.
Probably, yeah.
So this year we have a senior, a junior, a 7th grader, and a 5th grader.
Wow.
Busy.
So we have a final year for one of them, and then we've got the first year of middle school for another. So it's pretty exciting.
And 5th is still elementary school, right?
Correct. Our elementary is K through 6, and then it's 7, 8, and then 9 through 12.
So you're in 3 different schools.
Yes, although in our small town, they're all on the same campus. And the middle
that's
school,
handy.
That's nice.
Yeah, the middle school is literally attached to the high school. It's like a different hallway. And they start at the same time.
Very nice.
So when you're in middle school, you can, and you ride to school with your senior brother and
That's what I
junior
did.
sister, you're not worried.
You're a big shot.
Yeah, you're big time.
Yeah, that's what I did. I thought it was super cool.
So it was an
my
advantage.
sister is 5 years older than me. And so I was 6th grade when she was a senior, or 6th grade when she was a junior. So
Did you sit with her?
no. Oh, no, she wouldn't have allowed that.
But everybody knew.
Yeah, everybody knew.
You yelled about, "Hey, sister!"
Yes. If we passed by, I would have said something to her. She probably would have ignored me.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the school year for a lot of reasons, most of them for me, because our family needs routine desperately. The chaos of the summer, I've had it. I'm done with you, summer. Goodbye. And we're back to routine, which isn't fantastic. And speaking of back to school, the New York Times surveyed a whole bunch of school nurses, one of which was, well, she wasn't surveyed by the New York Times, but our very own Alan Perry, our station engineer, his wife, she is a school nurse. Very important job. 14 school nurses were surveyed, including one from Ohio, about things that they want parents to know as the school year starts.
Oh, good.
So we're going to go over those things together here in just a minute.
Ladies, are you looking for spiritual encouragement? Moody Radio invites you to rejuvenate your faith and draw close to Jesus at Renew, the one-day conference for women, coming to Canton, Ohio, September 7th. Your spirit will be uplifted and your mind engaged as our keynote speakers share insights from God's Word that will inspire you to pursue godliness in your home, work, church, and community. You'll also spend time in worship with hundreds of godly women who, just like you, desire a deeper intimacy with Christ. Sign up today at moodyconferences.com/renew.
If you're 65 or older, you know this. Seeing your healthcare costs go up and up is frustrating. And maybe you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing again, or you're just tired of the massive deductibles. Well, here's some good news. There's a program that can really help with this. It's MediShare 65 Plus. It's an affordable, reliable alternative. You can choose any Medicare provider. You get telehealth access anytime you need it. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. MediShare is a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith. People actually pray for you. They encourage you, and it's proven, too. It's been going strong for over 30 years now. So call now. You can get one low monthly price for up to 10 years. You're not stuck with increasing costs. You can do something about this today. Call MediShare 65 Plus. Find out how much you can save. Call 833-59-SHARE. That's 833-59-SHARE. 833-59-SHARE.
Everybody's going through something, which means everybody could use prayer. If you'd like our staff to pray for you, simply email your request to prayerworks@moody.edu, prayerworks@moody.edu.
At home, he's the dad who Ubers his kids around town. At church, he's the drummer that plays a little too loud during worship. But here, he's the guy who asks all the questions you wouldn't. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
25. That's Smokey Norfolk. It's my guy there. Love that guy. And the Renew Women's Conference is a week from Saturday. So, ladies, get it together. You got to get your ticket before it's too late. Or for your women's group or whatever. There's a group discount when you have 10.
10 tickets, it's $5 off each ticket.
Dr. Julie Slattery is the featured speaker. We've got a panel discussion among brilliant women, led by Daria, a brilliant woman. And you've got Taylor James, Glenna Marshall. It's fantastic. Plus Panera for lunch. Spicy and new.
Exciting.
But actually, not spicy at all. They don't do spicy there, I don't think.
Not really.
Text the word RENEW for more information. RENEW to 440-546-2255. Text RENEW to 440-546-2255. Well, my kids are back in school, probably some of the last kids in Ohio to be back. And it's kind of caught my attention to see a bunch of school nurses were surveyed and things they wish parents knew about. So I thought this was worth talking about. One of them, I guess parents leave the school nurse in the dark about needs their kids have. Like they forget to tell the nurse, oh yeah, my kid gets migraines or my kid has this medication or that medication. And then it's crisis time.
Yeah. That's a bad mistake.
It's easy to forget though. And to be honest, I'm sure everyone's annoyed by it, but I feel like you need a special 12 forms filled out to look at the nurse at school. And then if you need a Tylenol, call in the President of the United States. We need the Secret Service to come in, and which is a major exaggeration, but we may not
only
like
slightly.
But yeah, I mean they need approval, so we got to do that in advance. I get that one, and also they don't like when you send your kid to school sick. They acknowledge that there's a problem. Obviously, if you can't get paid time off. There's people that are living in poverty, barely making it. They can't afford it. But you got to at least get all the paperwork cared for. So your kid, if they get a fever, they can get some more Tylenol. They're mad that we don't instill good hand hygiene. You're feeling this one.
Yeah. Kids are nasty.
So gross. And
just sneeze into their hands.
Well, and then they'll
touch each other.
They go in the bathroom and you listen and you don't hear the water turn on when they're done. Did you wash your hands? And then they do what little sinners do is they lie.
Of course.
You have to do let me smell your hands.
Oh, I'm not smelling anything.
But you can feel if they've been thoroughly washed.
You can tell.
The odd thing is I noticed that at UPS as well. Full-grown men who will use the facilities and walk out and not wash their hands.
Ew.
That's
and
true.
then they touch people's packages.
Sanitize your packages like it's 2020.
Oh my gosh.
I need gloves now.
Aerosol spray.
I need gloves in my house just to get the packages. But yeah, I guess who told them about this one? Oh, someone from Chillicothe, Ohio, Nurse Madison Francis. And she said she does a glitter test with the kids where she puts glitter all over her hand and gives kids high fives. And then tells them, go wash it off. And it's actually really hard to wash glitter off. And it trains them. You have to wash longer than you realize to get the germs off. And I guess it works. So there you go. She also says, pick the right emergency contacts. Like if you're busy at work and can't come get the kids, fine. Calling your parents in Florida isn't much help. But you think
because they can't do anything.
But you think about emergency contact. My parents and my in-laws, they're in Minnesota.
I'll make you the emergency contact. You can go get Trey.
Well, no, but that's just it. You'll have to do that. You'll have to pick somebody from the office until you get plugged into a church real deep. And I'm happy to do. I've put our boss Josh Villa on every emergency contact.
Oh yeah.
Because for a while it was like he was the only one I knew that was anywhere near where we are, or that I'd be willing to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one when you move. What are you going to do, Daria, at some point in your life when you do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll all do each other.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's pass it around.
We'll pass it around, yeah. The other one is kids don't get enough sleep. They're annoyed that kids don't get enough sleep.
So are parents.
I just today turned on the timer or whatever for downtime. Apple has a system where you can force your kids to be part of your quote-unquote family in Apple, and you can brick their phone at whatever time you choose. Forgot to do it yesterday, but for our younger ones, at 9:30 p.m., you will no longer be able to use your phone except to text or call me.
There you go.
Which isn't very fun.
No.
So you got to do it. Kids go to school and they tell the nurse they've been.
I haven't slept. I've been up all night.
Yeah, they've been on their phone all night. It's an easy thing to have happen. So
I mean, we struggle to regulate our screen time. How many times have we been like just a few minutes before bed and then it's like an hour's passed? With kids, it's even worse because their brains aren't fully developed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Rhonda, your kids didn't have smartphones, I bet.
No. No, not
the
for
olden
a long
days.
Time. Yeah. But there were still things they do to stay up.
Movies.
Yeah, read a book under the sheets.
Instant Messenger.
Would you sneak to the computer and IM your friends, Lauren?
No, I don't think so. If I was at a friend's house for a sleepover, we did that.
That's a sleepover, though. That's different than a school night.
Yeah. But I don't remember ever going to like our family computer not in the middle of the night, no.
All right. Well, it's a good reminder from school nurses. Thanks, school nurses. You guys are the best. I don't know how you do what you do all day long with sick kids. Gross. God bless you,
No,
one and
thanks.
all. It is 6:31 coming up in a few minutes. Our friends the Ferrinis join us for My Marriage Matters, this time to talk about the consequences of adultery in marriage.
I'm Peggy Tustin, and this is Pause for Prayer. Who do men say that I am? Jesus asked his disciples. Some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, or one of the prophets, they replied. Who do you say that I am? Jesus inquired further. You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God, Simon answered. This was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. Then Jesus surprised Simon, renaming him Peter, a rock. Pray with me. Dear Lord Jesus, at that moment, Simon was impulsive and unstable, anything but a rock. Yet you saw who he would become by your grace and power. We've been called many names, some hurtful and derogatory. If we've been born again of your Spirit, however, you've redeemed us and given us new names, called, chosen, anointed, holy, and dearly loved. Do we fully reflect those beautiful names at this moment? Maybe not, but we pray by your grace and power, this is who we will become as we walk with you on earth and then more perfectly in heaven. I once thought you called me a disappointment because I always messed up. I couldn't be perfect until one day you made it clear. I'm not a disappointment. I'm your treasure. When the enemy accuses us, when people rail at us, even when our hearts condemn us, remind us of our true identity as your sons and daughters. By your grace and power, Peter became the rock of the early church. Fill us with this confidence that you began a good work in us and will carry it to completion. In Jesus' name, amen.
How exciting if God calls you to missionary aviation. Moody Bible Institute offers the Missionary Aviation Technology degree with a maintenance specialist emphasis. It includes engine overhaul, airframe rebuild, turbine engine maintenance and repair, avionics systems installation, and much more. Get started on your application today at moody.edu/aviation. Over 65 years of missionary aviation training. What an exciting way to serve God. moody.edu/aviation.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
638 WCRF, Mornings with Brian. We'd love to see you at the Renew Women's Conference coming up a week from Saturday.
So quick.
I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. Thinking about my outfit.
Me too.
But mine matters less than yours, let's be clear. Because I'm not going to be stage Brian this time.
Right. For like a little bit.
Just for a quick wave.
Yeah.
Elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist, back to my seat.
Yes.
But the ladies, that girl, in fact, will be up there emceeing, throwing it down, shaking hands, kissing babies with permission.
Yeah.
And you can get your information now and your tickets by texting the word RENEW to 440-546-2255. Join that girl.
We need backup singers.
I'm hoping that move you're doing right now. Don't stop. That
Don't
move
point it
needs to
out.
be on stage. Text RENEW to 440-546-2255. It's coming up Saturday, September 7th, Canton Baptist Temple, which is a week from Saturday. All right, they're back. We love them. They spoke nationally for Family Life's Weekend to Remember Marriage Getaway for 20 years, and she has been doing Pause for Prayer since 1998. Joe and Cindi Ferrini with My Marriage Matters. Welcome back, you two.
And
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, today is a pretty serious one, but a very important topic. And I'm sure you've encountered this a lot in your work with married people. The consequences of adultery on marriage. I'm assuming you've encountered this fairly often?
Far too many times, unfortunately. And, interestingly enough, and I often say it myself, is that we see patterns in people's lives that begin to predispose them to doing this kind of stuff. And people, the reality is that people commit emotional adultery before they commit physical adultery. And, emotional adultery is unfaithfulness of the heart. And the conditions for making that prime time for doing something like that is when, you start feeling kind of lonely, or you're feeling kind of isolated at home, and you just begin escaping from reality. You just start searching for some fulfillment. And what's happening is that you're moving towards a fantasy. And that's so there's a lot of things that happen before you go into a physical adultery.
Yeah, and I would just want to add too, it's not just staying out of bed with somebody else. It goes a lot deeper than that. It's, the not texting, the not flirting, not having conversations when you maybe even sense yourself kind of drifting toward that person. And, just the idea too, it's not always just what got you here, but it's that whole, were you available to your spouse emotionally and physically? And this goes for both the husband and the wife. Are you there for each other? And when you start recognizing that you're not there for each other, and then you start recognizing that you're having flirting outside of your marriage, you're moving from a situation that should be very protective in your marriage to one that could lead you to an affair, an adulterous relationship. So, it's not just having like physical monogamy in your marriage, but that emotional integrity too.
Yeah, I think that's so good, Cindy. I mean, these emotional entanglements are very subtle at first, but they begin to creep in and become more of a normal habit in one's lifestyle. And that just predisposes someone to begin thinking, what are the possibilities of moving towards a physical adultery?
And I could just add too, Joe and I have always tried to be really open about, if we saw anything outside of our marriage, like maybe somebody paying a little bit more attention to him or to me, or something that maybe I wouldn't pick up on or he wouldn't pick up on, and we would sort of alert each other. And I think just a word of caution to people, if your spouse recognizes something in you or someone towards you, take that seriously, because they may be more in tune to something than you are. You're not even thinking in that direction, but somebody outside the marriage might be. And if they notice it, just recognize that and take the steps that you'll need to, not enter into that kind of relationship, whether it's a friendship or an emotional relationship, that type of thing.
Yeah, and we need to just take those words very seriously. Because, again, for the most part, I think, I'll just speak for myself, guys are pretty clueless. Sometimes fallen into a trap and at least don't realize that things are happening, and all of a sudden, it's facing you right in the face. And so thank God for a wife that loves God and loves you.
I think you two shared at one point. Wasn't there a circumstance at work for one of you that kind of raised red flags?
Probably for Joe. And I know that one thing that he always did was if he had to go in for an emergency and it was off hours and the whole staff and everything wasn't there, he would always make sure, this was way back in the day, that his dad would come with him. And that way, whether it was a man or a woman, just for things that might be said outside of what really happened, he always had someone go with him. And that was a real protection. And if it wasn't his dad, it was, somebody else close to us that would go with him. So, we want to protect ourselves and we want to protect our marriage. And those are the kind of subtleties that if we're not aware of them or think of them ahead of time, we can find ourselves in a place that we really weren't expecting to be.
Right.
And I would imagine that when you encounter this as you're ministering to people, the person who ends up committing an affair would never expect it would be them, right? It's not like they've thought they would do this someday. They just find themselves in that circumstance.
I think a lot of times, yeah. And many times the people that have shared with us is people that they have worked with. And that's surprising because, you think that there's a lot of people around and what's going to happen, nothing's going to happen. But if you come from home and you're not satisfied there for whatever the reason, and then, you go to work and there's someone paying attention to you and they're listening to your woes and maybe your spouse isn't, you're starting to get into a place of, uneven ground, if you will.
Yeah. Boy. But I mean, to think of it, sometimes you spend more time with someone at work than you would with your own spouse.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. You're right. Yep.
All right.
And so we do see that this affects, different areas of our life too. And each of these areas that we're going to talk about, it's not only going to affect those areas prior to having an adulterous affair, but it will affect those areas beforehand too. So if we get to all of them, they will be how it affects our relationship with God, with our spouse, with our children, grandchildren, extended family, with the church, and then also myself. And then lastly, but not less importantly, is how it might affect the other person as well. So I guess we could just start with God.
Well, yeah, let's do that here after we take a quick break. Sure. It's 6:45. You're listening to WCRF, Mornings with Brian. Joe and Cindi Ferrini and My Marriage Matters are our guests. When we come back, we'll continue talking about how an adulterous affair in marriage can affect relationships with those around you.
If you have at least 10 years of experience in the finance field, a passion for nonprofit organizations, and a desire to impact Christ's kingdom, consider applying to join Moody's Chicago-based finance team. Moody is hiring a treasurer to help Moody's finance team guide our ministries on important treasury matters. Learn more about this opportunity at moodyjobs.org and search treasurer. That's moodyjobs.org.
Pastors have to make tons of decisions, including what to do to meet healthcare needs for themselves and their staff. Christian Healthcare Ministries specializes in making healthcare decisions easy and affordable. Not insurance, but a health cost sharing ministry for over 40 years. CHM opens the door for individuals, families, and yes, pastors to be a part of a biblical way to meet medical bills. Get more information and answers to your questions at chministries.org/Moody. That's chministries.org/Moody.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from Affirm Films and the Kendrick Brothers, bringing to theaters The Forge. Isaiah Wright needs to chart a better course for his future. Through prayer and biblical discipleship from a new mentor, Isaiah begins to discover that God's purpose for his life is greater than he could ask or imagine. The Forge, in theaters now. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested. More information at theforgemovie.com.
Keeping your eyes on Jesus in a changing culture can be difficult. Let us help. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
6:47 with us, if you're just tuning in, has been Joe and Cindi Ferrini with My Marriage Matters. We'll get you connected to them in just a few minutes here. For now, we're talking about the consequences of adultery on marriage and how it affects your relationships with a whole long list of folks. First one of which, And perhaps most importantly, how it affects your relationship with God. Talk to us about that, Cindi.
Well, first of all, our relationship with God should be our very most important relationship, one that we are always, working toward getting better, reading His Word, praying, things, going to church, studying the Bible. And I think a lot of those things they start sort of like an onion, they start coming out of your life, Well, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, it doesn't really matter if I pray. And so what happens is, we really become isolated from Him. We don't have fellowship with Him. And so that begins maybe even ahead of time. But once an adulterous affair happens, that relationship really, not necessarily that it's severed, but it's definitely not a tight relationship.
Right. I think these spiritual disciplines that Cindy's talking about is so crucial to just our natural walk with the Lord. And, my antennas go up when I see a guy that I know or I'm observing, and I'm starting to see him become isolated. I'm not seeing him doing things that he knows he should be doing. It's just kind of slowly walking away from the Lord. It's a drift. I'm saying? It's a drift process. It's not happening, all of a sudden you fall off the cliff. It's just a slow drift, and that's why we need to have these spiritual disciplines daily built into our lives, of the importance of confessing, repenting, and just surrendering our lives to the Lord on a regular, daily, moment-by-moment basis. And when you don't do that, you're putting your guard down,
right?
And you're exposing yourself to potential problems,
right? And then there's that, the consequences with your sin and guilt and shame, that you're going to eventually need to ask forgiveness from all that. But let's not just leave it at that. Let us just also say God is in the business of restoring us. When we ask for forgiveness, not only of God, but of our spouse, He is in the business of restoring it. Is it easy? Especially in a physical, relationship between a husband and wife. There's work that's got to be done, but He will restore it. We've seen it happen many, many times, but it takes both people owning up to their own part in whatever this played toward this drift that they have.
That's right.
So what's the next aspect you want to dig into in terms of who this affects when you have an affair?
Well, the number one person that it affects, besides our relationship with the Lord, is your spouse, obviously. And I think this is an incredibly difficult thing to do, is to be honest and transparent and straightforward with your spouse. And revealing an adulterous affair to your spouse is incredibly difficult to do. And I've seen many guys walk through this whole process. And it goes in one or two directions. One, that marriage just becomes worse. It becomes devastated because the wife is unforgiving. I shouldn't say wife, it's the spouse is unforgiving about the whole situation, or they become incredibly close to one another. And that is what we want to see happen, of course. And it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, it'll just be straight up. I mean, it's not easy to do, but trust has to be restored back again. It needs to be regained. And, confessing one's sins and confessing, dishonesty in any aspect of your marriage is one thing, but restoring trust back into that relationship, that's a whole different ballgame. And that just takes time for that to happen. But you always want to be seeking reconciliation with your spouse, and admit when you're wrong. And I think Gary Thomas, he's a fellow that used to be a big guy here in the marriage counseling area for years, and I really like what he has to say in his book, Sacred Marriage. He said what he found was, from his years of counseling, is that couples, they don't fall out of love as much as they fall out of repentance. And basically what that means is that they've walked slowly away from their walk with the Lord. And so this whole area of being honest and trustworthy with your spouse begins to not be as important to some people. And those are, I guess, obviously red flags.
And I would just add to this too, I would say for many it takes hours and hours of counseling, but I have also known of some couples who have just said, I am so sorry. Both have, owned up to their part in different areas of things and worked on this together, and have done a great job in reconciling their marriage. I would recommend counseling probably for anybody, but I just want people to know that, when you have two very forgiving people who are really willing to work through the hard parts of this, sometimes they can do it without counseling. And I have had some people who, as they've walked through this, have shared things with me, and to watch that reconciliation is really a beautiful thing.
And just to throw it out there, I'm so grateful to hear that you've been able to build trust with people in that way, where we all need friends like that, right? Where if you find yourself in this circumstance, there's someone you can confide in. And you two have really been blessed a bunch of people, I can imagine.
Well, I pray so, because I have a lot of people who have confided in me, and even Joe doesn't know who they are.
That's probably a good thing in many respects.
So it's a good thing, because and if he does, it's because they've said, yes, please share it with Joe and allow for his wisdom, to be shared with us too. And so
that goes both ways, by the way.
Yeah. So we pray so, and then they have someone who they know is praying for them too, and has their back in that way. So yeah.
Now, the next people affected by an affair in a marriage relationship would be the children. Talk about that.
Well, it goes beyond children. It's the grandchildren, also extended family and friends. Joe and I have often just talked together, like with what we have done in our life in terms of ministry and walking with the Lord. We just say how it would just ruin our testimony horribly if this ever, happened to us. And you have to say never. And so that is why back to the step with walking closely with God is so important. But when this happens with, in a marriage, it affects so many people around us. Just that, if everybody who's listening right now, just think, say out loud, name your children, name your grandchildren, name your closest friends, your extended family, who all are believing and trusting in you in many ways as a Christian in your walk with the Lord. Just their sadness and their disappointment in us, if that would happen. Then even just our walk with the Lord and our testimony would just really be ruined. Not that God doesn't forgive and restore, and there's a great story in that, sure. But, think of the many people that we know have, in terms of from the pastorate, have fallen, and the damage that does to their congregation and to people that they have been around. And then I think Joe wants to add something too, but just for some, you might lose relationship with some of them as well as our spouse.
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably the most devastating thing I see physically when I'm with guys and watching this happen. And sometimes when you're in a relationship like this adulterous affair, you're just not thinking straight, right? And so every once in a while, you need somebody to come up and get in your face and tell you, what's this going to do to your children? What's it going to do to your relationship with your grandchildren? Mm-hmm. Are you thinking about what that's going to look like as a result of what you're doing right now for these few moments of pleasure? I mean, what are you doing that will, cause this relationship to fall apart that you've been building up for so many years? And again, what you're trying to do here, ultimately, at least the way I think anyways, is you're trying to leave a legacy. And what kind of legacy are you leaving when you have this in your background? And again, the goal in life here, Brian, as you know, it's not about fulfilling a life of happiness, but rather it's about having a goal of having a purpose in life and a mission in life and fulfilling that mission and purpose. And this has nothing to do with that at all. And so, when I want to get to the heart of a guy, I begin to go right to the children. And say, listen, this is what's happening for you, and you may not see it right now, but you will see it.
How have you seen kids respond in these circumstances?
It's really interesting. Yeah. Not only little children, but I have seen college-aged children and people who are like in their 40s and 50s who still have parents living who are divorcing be devastated by it. Devastated. And you think, well, I'm 40 or 50. That's not going to bother me if my parents divorce. You would be just amazed at how devastated the children are. Because that's, for all of us, that's our security. Mm-hmm. And but let me also give that piece of hope too. If kids recognize and see this happen, or they see it, the marriage going down, and then they see that parents have worked at it to get the marriage back to a good place, there's such a redeeming quality in that, and that's really beautiful for the children to see. But don't be mistaken, they are watching, and even if a couple goes through this and they don't divorce, let me just tell you, the kids probably are picking up on it. I've heard that over and over.
Really?
And I'll just piggyback on the fact and say that if a divorce does happen, you need to keep in mind that 3 out of 4 children of divorced parents are most likely to have a divorce themselves. And is that what you're building for the future for your children?
Wow, it's such important information today. We're just about out of time, so maybe we hit pause and pick up on the rest of these next time, or online, however you guys choose to do it. But if folks want to get more information about My Marriage Matters and maybe hear this again, how can they connect to you all?
We would love to have them come to My Marriage Matters. That's on a Facebook page, and they'll see our picture there. So if they know who we are, then that's the picture. If not, it's My Marriage Matters. Or they can come to us through our website, and they can get there through joeferrini.com or cindyferrini.com. And I'll put these on the page so that they can see them.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much for your time. God bless you, and we'll talk again next time, okay?
Thank you so much.
Take care.
You bet. It is just about 7 o'clock. Before we get to the next thing in Ron's news and such, again, I walk away from that going, you've got to have a support system.
Yes.
Of people you can trust.
And listen, if your spouse is uncomfortable with someone who's, a coworker or whatever, listen to what she says or he says.
Yeah, they're not just being weird and jealous.
Right.
They're discerning something. Yeah, so important. Tough topic, but a really good one. It's 7 o'clock. It's time for Ron's News and today's More Ron moment. And not too far away from a conversation with our friend Dr. Valencia Wiggins from Moody Bible Institute, where she teaches people in the clinical mental health program there, teaches them to be counselors. She wants to talk about the idea of mental health in college students. You got kids or grandkids going back to college? Lots to be aware of when it comes to statistics about their mental health.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance says he believes Donald Trump would veto a federal abortion ban if elected president. It's 7 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. In an interview with NBC's Meet the Press, Vance said Trump has been very clear that he wants to leave the abortion question up to the states in order to focus on bigger issues. This would come after comments from congressional Republicans indicating they would continue to push for a federal ban even if former President Trump were elected. In Stark County, a young boy who was hit by a vehicle while out riding his bicycle on Sunday is recovering from his injuries. The 11-year-old was struck near West 14th Street Southwest and Brooklyn Avenue Southwest in Perry Township and suffered an injured leg. Police say the driver involved remained at the scene and is cooperating. An independent presidential candidate, Robert F. Kennedy's name will not appear on the Ohio ballot come November 5th. That's the word from Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose, who confirmed that his office had received written confirmation that Mr. Kennedy was withdrawing his candidacy for the nation's highest office. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Pursue your passion for shepherding, teaching, and ministry leadership with a Master of Divinity from Moody Theological Seminary. New for fall of 2025. Earn the same world-class degree in a shorter amount of time. We've reduced credit hours to earn a degree while maintaining the quality and course content essential for effective ministry. Need flexibility? Take classes online or on our Chicago or Michigan campuses. Even interchange between all options on a class-by-class basis. Get started at moody.edu/MDiv.
In sports, the Guardians doubled up the Rangers 4-2. The Pirates walked off the Reds 4-3. And in case you missed it, the Browns fell to the Seahawks 37-33. The Steelers lost to the Lions 24-17. And thus comes to an end the NFL preseason. From here on out, the games count. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny this morning, then becoming partly cloudy. It's going to be hot today with highs in the lower 90s. At last check, clear skies in Cleveland, 70 degrees. The same in Akron, clear and 70. In Ashtabula, clear skies and 67 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
Well, we don't know who created National Toilet Paper Day, but they surely deserve a shout-out for dedicating a day to honoring this humble yet important invention that is on the shopping list for many a trip to the supermarket. It wasn't until 1857 that toilet paper began being sold in the United States. And back then, toilet paper was just loose, flat sheets of paper. Then in 1930, the Germans invented the perforated rolls that we have today, consisting of 1,000 small sheets that were separated by a perforation. In the 1960s, toilet paper even came in different colors, especially in pink and green to match the popular bathroom hues of the day. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 7:04. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcast. Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
You're listening to WCRF. We're Mornings with Brian. It is 7:08, and we're coming to you live from the Bob Devine Studios. And we can't wait to see you a week from Saturday. The team's all getting together. We're going to Canton Baptist Temple. We're bringing in some of the, Chicago people that put together events and all that. I never know what that department's called because it changed like 6 times.
Yeah, now it's Conference Ministries.
What was it when you were there?
Event Marketing and Management.
I'll never remember that.
Maybe it's Conference Marketing Management. I don't know.
Whoever they are.
You worked there and you don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lauren ran Renew. She launched it and ran it.
Indeed.
Told me what to do with gusto.
Indeed.
I remember I'll never forget, in fact, the year that I packed poorly the bags everybody gets. And
you forgot to put stuff in it.
Yes. It was very complicated.
No, it wasn't.
And I had to apologize in front of the whole place. I think I did it wrong even, and you yelled out something like...
you did. Yes, that's right.
And you were like, it was your fault! Brian, it was your fault! In the middle of Renew.
Yes. Because you're trying to pass blame when it was your fault.
I totally was, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why we love
I'm not going to
you.
let that fly.
No, we can't
We're
let
not
anything
going to pass
fly.
blame.
No.
So you've always been keeping him in check even before you were actually in charge of him.
That's exactly right.
And then I thought to myself, you know who'd be good here? Lauren.
I even had made fun of his clothes, and he still let me come here before I worked here.
Yeah, great. And I have to pick out a new outfit now. Every time I go somewhere,
I haven't
it's
seen the one
ridiculous.
from last Renew. You could wear that because I wasn't there.
I think it was the hoodie thing.
That's what you wore because I wasn't there.
I'm almost positive it was the
probably.
hoodie jacket.
I thought you wore the orange one. I don't know. You got some new orange thing. Burnt orange, not like bright orange.
I'm sure I wore something you've seen before. Let's just
Probably.
put it that way. So get your act together, unlike me, and get your ticket to Renew. We'd love to see you, ladies. It's the annual Women's Conference, Saturday, September 7th, which is a week from Saturday, Canton Baptist Temple. For more information and to buy your tickets, text the word Renew to 440-546-2255. Text Renew to 440-546-2255. Up now, I'll clearly need counseling after all that. Dr. Valencia Wiggins is a professor at Moody Bible Institute. She's also a clinical training director at Moody Seminary for the Masters in Clinical Mental Health program. Welcome back, Dr. Wiggins.
Good morning. And Brian, I hear that you said you need to sign up for counseling.
Yeah, Lauren doesn't let me get away with anything, Dr. Wiggins.
I can tell. That's good. Good job, Lauren.
Thank you so much.
Can't you let me get away with a little bit sometimes?
No.
No?
It's quite literally my job.
Okay. Boo. But okay, so the school year starting, has it started for Moody students yet, or is it this week?
You know what? It starts this week. They had to delay their starting, so they're coming back to campus this week, so it's very exciting. And coming back with many different things. So I know we're talking about this morning about mental health for college students and what they're bringing back. Unfortunately, on the rise is mental health and mental concerns such as anxiety and depression and trauma. About 9 in 10 students will face some type of mental health issue.
9 in 10 students, so 99%, are going to face this, you're saying?
They will. There could be some type of challenge. And, I'll break that down just a little bit with, if you think about trauma, some people may be coming with a history of childhood emotional abuse or childhood sexual abuse or some type of history of violence. Unfortunately, usually about 1 in 5 freshman females could face some type of sexual assault that could happen. Again, that depends on what's happening and maybe what type of campus that you're in, but that could occur. And, I'm going to also add, Brian, we were just talking at our faculty retreat, we were talking about faith crisis and issues of deconversion, or talk a lot about deconstructing faith. I'm really starting to see an impact on that, as well as with mental health as well.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So somebody listening might be skeptical, though, of, you brought up how many students enter college with trauma. They're like, you're overblowing this. I've heard even some pastors nationally try to minimize this idea. So how prevalent is trauma for students entering their first year of college?
It's prevalent. It's on the rise. I would say, there may be some experience that people have. It consistently is rising. I follow an annual report. It's called the Collegiate Mental Health Report, and that really gives a good overview of what's happening on college campuses and mental health, and what college counseling centers are seeing. And so, it's there in the data. It is happening, but it's important to be prepared.
Well, somebody might say, though, Dr. Wiggins, well, I mean, fear not, my kid's Christian. So Christian kids don't have to worry about trauma like this. What do you say?
Oh, I wish it was true, but they do. We are not without experience of any type of trials. I would take them to James. It says that we're all going to experience some type of trials or tribulations. And so I think about mental health. And I'd also say, they may come without anything, but things that happen while you're in college, there could be some type of trauma. I hate to think about things that happen like on shootings or things like that, or a death of a student, suicide. Those things are rare, but if they happen while your student is in college, it does have effects. And that you could see that. I also think about social anxiety. You think about the rise of social media. I think it lessens the way that students communicate, and now they have to really communicate in person. So that there's more of that I'm seeing as well.
Yeah, I feel stressed just thinking about that. But I've heard some psychologists distinguish between big T and little t trauma. Is that a real distinction, and what is it?
I wouldn't say any trauma. I would never measure it because all trauma is trauma. I could never say, well, that's not as bad as A, or not as bad as B, because someone is still going to be affected. They still may have depression or anxiety because of that. So you don't make that distinction. But, I mean, I think where that comes from, right, is somebody might go, oh, well, that soldier has PTSD. I must be fine because I wasn't in a war. But people can be dramatically affected by seemingly smaller things. I don't even know how to characterize it in a way that's appropriate, but are you following me? Yeah, I am. It's interesting because I also saw something just recently about PTSD in college students. And that could be, just say, coming out the pandemic, even though we're starting to be a little bit out of that, but I think we're still seeing residue effects of that. So that can be a trauma too. I wouldn't categorize it as a small trauma because there's different parts of that, but we do see that.
Yeah. It's 7:17, time for a quick break. Our guest is Dr. Valencia Wiggins, Associate Professor and Clinical Training Director at Moody Seminary for the Masters in Clinical Mental Health program. When we come back, we'll keep talking about some key statistics to be aware of for college students as we start a new school year.
Her name is Jenny, and maybe like you, she and her husband got tired of their health care getting more and more expensive, so they did it. They went with MediShare.
We signed on with MediShare in March, had a really great experience. It was super easy to get going with them. And then in October of that same year, we found out that I had stage 3 breast cancer.
We were put at ease with MediShare, guiding us and walking with us and saying that they were going to be praying for us.
It's very intentional how they try to bless people when they know this is one of the hardest things that they're going through.
They and their 4 kids thank the Lord, not only for her healing and how he provided for them, but she says it makes her emotional just realizing how she gets to pay it forward.
What we put towards MediShare is going to be blessing another mom, and they're going to show up for her the way that they showed up for me.
You save a lot, and you're part of something really, really good. Call now. It's 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
1959, Cuba.
This is the biggest demonstration in Cuba's history. Almost 1 million people are here. There is Fidel Castro, the leader.
Cuba then became a one-party, communist and atheist state.
When the revolution took over in 59, things becomes bad to the churches.
But today, this longtime Cuban pastor sees hope.
We really think that this is our time to reach our country. Now people are willing to listen to the gospel.
Cuba needs Jesus. Cuba needs you. you can be part of something really big. Join TWR in taking the good news of Jesus into Cuba every night by radio.
Radio waves can reach everywhere. Any Cuban could listen to the gospel.
Partner today with TWR. Go to cubaneedsjesus.org.
They say family knows you best. Here's Brian's older brother with a message for you.
I always knew my little brother had the gift of gab, and he proves it to you every morning.
It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Love Tori Kelly. She's the elephant in Sing. You guys ever see the movie Sing?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Matthew McConaughey's in that. Tori Kelly's the elephant that sings the big closer, a Stevie Wonder song. Lauren, you know what I'm talking about.
So random.
I do, yeah.
But it's so great at the end. Don't you worry about a thing. It's so good. I bet Dr. Wiggins knows all about that. Dr. Valencia Wiggins from Moody Bible Institute. You've seen that animated film, haven't you?
I do. I love it. And I love that song, too, that you just played. It's excellent.
Wasn't that great? It's Tori Kelly.
So good.
She's a believer and an animated elephant.
True.
Best of both worlds, I guess. But that's not why you're here. You're here talking to us a bit about things to consider for college students and their mental health. One of the statistics you kind of threw at me here was 3/4 of college students, or 76%, experience moderate to serious psychological distress. What does psychological distress mean? Because that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and again, that can be depression or anxiety. And also, let me say something about this particular age group, because 18 to 22 is when mental illness can occur. So things like more serious disorders include things like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, usually surfaces in this age group. So that, when you talk about psychological distress, that's what's also could be coming up as well. Even also, I would include substance use disorders. Unfortunately, as students get more introduced to alcohol, drugs, we have things like marijuana, that those things become more prevalent during this period as well.
Yeah, and that schizophrenia one is so scary, and it's my understanding that schizophrenic breaks, used to be called at least, happened, like 18, 19, 20-ish? Is that right?
It's true. That's true. Between 18 and 25 years of age.
What do you watch for in that? Not that it's a hugely common thing, but what are some warning signs?
You know, one thing I would look at is how people are sleeping. Believe it or not, sleep indicates sometimes other types of things that are going on. So if someone is not sleeping a lot, I'll give you just a quick example. I remember I used to work with college counseling and had someone who had a psychotic break, but they hadn't slept for 3 days. Oh. So that exacerbated probably underlying other mental illnesses. So hallucinations, if people start to talk about things that they're seeing or not seeing, that can be occurring as well. Not being able to focus, things like hearing voices, that is part of schizophrenia, some of the symptoms of that occur as well.
So take it seriously if you hear someone around that age group bringing that up.
Absolutely. Please do.
Now, I had someone tell me recently that there's certain circumstances that can trigger this. Like someone was claiming that marijuana use can trigger this. Is that accurate, or are you unaware of that?
You know what? It depends on what happens. I've known people that if they have smoked marijuana, maybe they might have something that's been laced with something else. That's also the other danger. So I've known that has exacerbated psychiatric issues. So maybe if someone has marijuana that has been laced with something like cocaine or mushrooms, that's a drug. That does happen, and it can have long-term effects with psychiatric issues.
Scary. Okay, another statistic for college students, 36% of college students were diagnosed with anxiety. That's a lot of people, 36%. What distinguishes clinical anxiety from worry?
Well, there can be just common worry, things that you worry about. I'll call it the daily stressors. You know, my grades, my friends, how I'm going to do. And then the anxiety that may be deeper, that includes things like restlessness, a constant feeling of panic. That can be part of anxiety that can happen. And so people can have that. They get up first thing in the morning, they're anxious. But that carries through with you the rest of the day, or something that goes on for more than 2 weeks, being at that constant high-level anxiety, that's a deeper anxiety, and I would seek counseling and help with that.
And then 28%, over a quarter of college students diagnosed with depression. And again, how do we distinguish between clinical depression and just sadness in this case?
Again, I look at the length of time. So anything over 2 weeks where you're experiencing sadness, maybe feelings of despair, apathy, not sleeping, anger, maybe even suicidal ideation, and those are indicators of depression as well.
And now most college campuses have mental health services available, right? So like if a parent's concerned, can they refer their kid there? Can they call the school? What do you do?
Absolutely. All college campuses now have a college counseling center. So they can go there for help. They can see licensed professional counselors. I know even at Moody we have a counseling center, and so we have excellent trained counselors there. So they can go there. Usually those services are free or for a low cost, but you can find them. Any student services provides counseling now, which is great for campuses.
Yeah, and I would say to parents, if your kid seems like they're struggling, encourage them to go. They may need that nudge from you for their parents to hear their parents say it's okay and it's good to go and do it, because it is, and I'd highly encourage it. Again, Dr. Valencia Wiggins, she is an associate professor at Moody Bible Institute. She's also clinical training director at Moody Seminary for Moody's Master's in Clinical Mental Health program. Dr. Wiggins, thanks again for your time today. We'd encourage folks to go to moody.edu for more. Again, moody.edu. God bless you, and we'll say hi to your mom as well, who I'm sure is listening this morning.
Oh, thank you, and she is. Blessings, you all.
Yeah, blessings to you as well. Good morning, Mom. Thanks for supporting your amazing daughter. She's the best. All right, Dr. Wiggins, God bless you.
Take care.
You bet. Bye-bye. Boy, yeah, get counseling help. Do it. And college can be so stressful. I know from a parent's perspective, it's like, wait till you become a real adult, then you'll find stress. No, studying for the chemistry exam,
Oof.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. What was your class? For you, it would have been some, like, an Old Testament survey, maybe? Would that really get you?
That's just a lot of information that wasn't very hard. Are you asking for like a hard class?
Yeah. What was the hard one?
Apologetics.
Really?
Or either of the systematic theologies, yeah.
I just got stressed hearing systematic theology. Like, theology is hard enough, but making it systematic? What does that even, I don't even know what that means. It's like all of it? Just
it's like
systematically go through all of it. Know it all.
And there's so much of it, you need more than one class.
Yeah, we had to take 2 courses and then also apologetics on top of it.
Oh, boy. But you made it.
Yes.
At the time, you weren't sure, though. You felt like you might not.
I'm sure. Oh, yeah, I'm sure I didn't think I could make it.
What was the class for you, Daria, the one that really got you?
Christian beliefs. Basically, it was, this is what we, as the denomination that I went to, the school was, this is what we believe. The particular professor I had, even though it was a gen ed and everyone had to take it, he taught it like a master's level theology course.
Oh, boy. Stressful.
Yes.
On the surface, it sounds like, well, this will be easy. I'm a Christian.
Yeah, we had a class called The Church and Its Doctrines.
It's like, not we're Christians. This is what this very specific sect of Christianity believes, and you must learn it all.
In great depth. Wow.
Yes.
Ron, did you have one that got you?
Organic chemistry.
Oh, yeah. It's a weeding out class.
Yeah, the book was literally 4 inches thick.
Ugh.
It was like weightlifting every time you'd have to take it somewhere.
So you were in great shape as well as learning.
Oh, yeah. But it didn't take long. That helped me make my decision that God was calling me out of engineering.
Yeah, that's good. I had another one just pop up in my brain. The land, it's kind of like The Land in the book. I don't know if that's exactly what it's called, but it was about Israel. Life in Bible Times, that's what it was called.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's so different than life today, right?
Yeah, I had to learn the ancient map of Israel. And we did, like, he would just give you a piece of paper and you had to draw the map of Israel with all of the important locations.
Oh, you had to draw it freehand?
Yes.
I'd fail even if I knew where things were. I
even
can't
the
draw.
Little mountains, little rivers.
That's brutal. They can't even give you an outline of Israel? Come on.
It's pretty
wow. I used to have my geography students had to freehand draw a map of a particular region of the world as an assignment.
I would just draw a circle.
But the point was that's how you learn it.
Yeah.
Right. By drawing it by hand, a test. That's mean. I gave a word bank and a blank map.
I used to do it all over and over again in my dorm room on the mirror over our sink. Just like.
Who did that to you? Was it Dr. Rydelnik?
No. Dr. Tim Sigler.
Tim Sigler. Be nicer.
Be nice. He was really nice.
But now you could probably draw that map for us.
Oh, no, not anymore.
All right, it's 7:32, time for a quick break. And we talked with a counselor from Moody Bible Institute. But Christianity Today interviewed a whole bunch of Christian counselors around the country about just what's going on in America. And all the counselors are concerned about anger. No surprise, we see it. We'll talk a bit about that from a faith perspective in just a minute.
For the essence of sin is man substituting himself for God, while the essence of salvation is God substituting himself for man. I'm Darcy Harrod, and this is Pause for Prayer. That quote from John Stott encapsulates the essence of what the gospel is. How often do we put ourselves in the place of God? For me, it's daily, if not hourly. I want to be in charge. I want to call the shots. I want to be sitting in the seat of God. But what a miracle the gospel is. Even though my heart is inclined to be the one on the throne, God took my place and paid my price. Let's pause for prayer. Father, please remind me of all the ways I'm trying to put myself in the place that only you should be. Help me to call it what it is: sin. Not only do you love me when I try to take you off the throne and put myself there, but in fact, you substituted yourself for me. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Help all of us to trust you completely and submit to your will, knowing that you have the perfect plan. Romans 5:8 says, "But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." Father, thank you for this truth. The essence of sin is trying to take your place, but the essence of salvation is you taking ours. Help me to remember that true freedom and peace come not from sitting on the throne, but from surrendering that place to you. May I live in the light of this truth every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Moody Radio is thankful for The Forge, the latest movie from the Kendrick brothers about the lasting influence one person can have on another through discipleship. What does discipleship look like? As a disciple of Jesus, you ask him to meet you where you are and help you in every area of your life, to draw you closer to himself. That's discipleship. The Forge, in theaters now. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
Keeping your eyes on Jesus in a changing culture can be difficult. Let us help. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio, Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Good morning. Happy Monday. That was Matthew West. It is 7:39, and we cannot wait to see you at Canton Baptist Temple a week from Saturday, ladies. It's going to be amazing. I'll be at the table waving to people, shaking hands, only kissing babies with permission.
Yeah.
But there won't be any babies there. Guys, watch your kids.
Yeah, come on now.
In fact, get the tickets to renew for your wife. And you say, don't worry, honey, here's the tickets. I got it all covered. They're your kids, too. You can do this.
That's right. Even if you need to call your mom to come help you with them.
Sometimes we do things like that. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? She's gone. They can have ice cream for lunch, and you can watch movies all day. It's fine.
Yeah. Nobody will be the wiser.
Mom will when she comes back and wonders why the kids are bouncing off the walls.
Yep.
Well, we'll need a break, though, for sure, when she gets back. That's definitely what's going to happen. Why'd you look at me funny when I said ice cream for lunch?
It's just a lot.
Oh.
You can give your child a nutritious meal just because your wife's out.
Of course I can. But you want to be the cool dad. That's the thing. You want to be the cool dad. Meanwhile, your son suggests going to get ice cream because it's
daily.
what you do.
No, we go once a month probably.
I don't know about that.
Yes, absolutely.
You love ice cream.
Yeah, but we don't go out for ice cream.
But you have it at home.
Yeah.
Because you love ice cream.
Yeah.
So ice cream for lunch ever happen in your life? Go ahead.
Never.
Oh.
I do not ever recall having ice cream for lunch.
Well, it's the first time for everything. What are you doing today for lunch?
Ice cream.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know even how we got down that road.
I don't know either.
Oh, it's Dads Watch the Kids. Renew Women's Conference is coming. Ladies, it's Saturday, September 7th, Canton Baptist Temple, featuring Glenna Marshall, author, speaker, pastor's wife, mom, all that stuff. Taylor James from New Community Bible Fellowship, where she's the children's director. Dr. Julie Slattery.
I know.
And we're going to throw all those women into a panel discussion, which we'll talk more about later this morning. They'll be in a panel discussion led by none other than that girl, Lauren may do this awesome head move that she does on the show as she walks up on stage and waves at everybody. They're going to MC you more, Daria. Daria's going to do the panel discussion. Give really hard questions, especially to Dr. Slattery.
They are actually kind of hard questions. Not intentionally so. It's just kind of they fit with the topic that we decided on.
Good. Good. I like it. For more information, text the word renew to 440-546-2255. Text renew to 440-546-2255. We'd love to see you there. Get your tickets before it's too late. And by the way, lunch is Panera, not ice cream. Panera.
Even better.
And it's salad or sandwich, as you would say, which is
Sammy.
You call it a Sammy, which is very weird, I think. But
You just call it a sandwich. You just make it short and make it Sammy.
I guess that does make sense then.
Yeah.
But it's sandwich for those who aren't familiar with the hip lingo of millennials. Can I get the Sammy?
It's not a millennial thing. That's a regional thing.
See? It's not all about my age, Brian.
You can agree with me sometimes, Daria.
No, I can't.
Okay, so Christian counselors around the country are worried about anger in America, and we're going to dig in a little more deeply to that. But first, we here on this show, we care about and advocate for professional counseling on a regular basis. Why do we do that? Like I say it sometimes, but why do you guys care about it? I'm not speaking for you.
I think it's good to work through those issues you have on your heart and your mind that you kind of ruminate on, ways that you grew up or ways that you've fallen into that are not healthy for you or for your family.
Yeah, we all need help with things. And I think it is our duty as Christ followers to get help working through certain issues in our lives so that we can better reflect him.
To the extent you're comfortable, would either of you be able to share why you chose to go at some point? No pressure. You can say no, pass.
Yeah, I think I've shared here before. When my firstborn, he's 4 now, was probably 15 to 18 months old, I was just finding myself really angry, just really ragey. I had a lot of rage, and I didn't have the skills to cope with it properly, and I was coping with it inappropriately, and I needed help.
Good for you. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, anxiety runs my family. So this is just kind of something modeled for me. Like, we as a family need help dealing with this, and this is kind of what we do.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And it's important for people to talk about family history and that. It's super important because we have anxiety in my family history as well. Now, somebody who might be Ron's age and older, psychology for many, many years was like weird. It was Freud wanting you to somehow love your mother awkwardly.
Yes, or lay on a couch and regress back to your actual being birthed and let out a primal scream.
Right. Well, and then I remember even an era too where there was this whole repressed memory trend where a lot of people were compelled by counselors into remembering things that never actually happened.
Yeah.
And it destroyed families.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you say to a person who is skeptical of modern psychology and that keeps them from counseling?
I understand why they feel nervous. It's somewhat feels new. It's not new, but it feels new, and it's progressing because you find out more research and new psychologists learn new things. But I think I would encourage someone who thinks that they need help processing to try it out. You don't have to stay there forever.
Yeah, you're not committing to anything. If you don't like it, you don't have to go back. I would encourage you to maybe try a couple different counselors. It has taken me a long time to find one that I clicked with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's super important. You're not stuck with the first one. And if they're professional, they understand it may not work out.
Like I've had multiple tell me from the outset, if you don't like this, it won't hurt my feelings because you're not going to be a match with everyone you go to.
Yeah.
That's right. And I will say modern psychology in the last 15 to 20 years has changed dramatically, and it's shifted towards evidence-based psychology. But it's no longer let out your, what did you call it?
Primal scream.
From birth.
Yes.
Or and Freud no longer runs the day blaming your mom for everything and wanting you to love her awkwardly like Oedipus or whatever. But what it is now is it's literally based on scientific research and evidence. And a good counselor is going to be evidence-based in some way where they're going to use techniques with you and advice for you that is based in modern psychological evidence-based reality.
Yeah, and sometimes they're really just helping you find the conclusion yourself. It just is kind of getting the words and thoughts outside of your own head to somebody else to help you get there.
Yeah, and with that in mind, Christianity Today did a survey of a bunch of Christian counselors and did some interviews, and they are like across the board worried about anger. And I mean, statistics indicate it's a problem. Road rage shootings. When I first saw this, I thought it was just road rage.
No.
But road rage shootings in the last 10 years, up 400%.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, somebody who's not just raging, so mad they're going to start shooting.
Yeah.
Up 400% in the last 10 years. I saw that. I was like, that's all I need to see. We got an anger problem. But there's more than that. Talk to any flight attendant or someone in the service industry and just people. I mean, there's signs up now. Like, you have to be nice to us. I went to the doctor's office the other day with one of my kids, and there was a sign up on the door. I was like, how sad is this? It's like, you cannot verbally abuse our staff.
When I worked in retail, there were one particular that comes to mind, but it happened a few times where myself and a couple other cashiers were like genuinely afraid for our safety because we told this person something they didn't want to hear. Like, no, it was, no, we're not going to mark this tree off because a branch is broken. And he got belligerent. It's scary.
And now Lauren saying she went because she recognized anger in herself is not common. Counselors do not see people coming in and going, I'm angry all the time. I don't know what to do about it. Because part of it, that's the temperature of culture right now. People don't believe this, but cable news and a lot of websites that carry news, the only way they're going to get you there is to scare you or make you angry.
Right.
And they need to make money. How they make money? You need to watch it or read it. And them telling you it's not so bad will cause you to leave and go find the bloodbath somewhere else. So what do we make of this, and what is anger, and how do we think about it as Christians? We'll talk more about that here in just a minute.
So many ask, why is there human suffering? The book of Job directly addresses that question. And this month, Today in the Word takes readers through an in-depth study of Job in our new devotional, Seeking Answers. Join devotional author Dr. Eric Moore and over 1 million readers for this month's study. Download our free Today in the Word app or go to todayintheword.org. Be encouraged to remain strong in your faith during times of suffering.
Moody Radio is on the air thanks to support from our listeners and businesses like Fellowship Home Loans. They'll talk about the numbers as well as your hopes, dreams, and the market's reality. Home is where the heart is. It's where families grow and where dreams are born. More information is at 800-804-7283. That's 800-804-SAVE or fellowshiphomeloans.com. Welcome home.
19. That's how many pairs of shoes the average American has in their closet. 1. That's how many pairs of shoes it takes to share health, education, opportunity, and the love of Christ to a child in need in the world. Buckner Shoes for Orphan Souls has been meeting this need, providing more than 5 million pairs of shoes to children in some of the most vulnerable communities in the world. That's over 5 million opportunities to put a smile on the face of a child and show the love of Christ to boys and girls living in desperate situations. Many times these shoes introduce families to Christ-centered programs, helping them to rise above poverty and achieve their God-given potential. You can make a difference now. Join Buckner Shoes for Orphan Souls in changing the lives of children across the world through the gift of shoes. I'm Rob West, inviting you to provide shoes today by visiting GiveShoesToday.org. That's GiveShoesToday.org.
Keeping your eyes on Jesus in a changing culture can be difficult. Let us help. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
751 WCRF Christianity Today surveyed a whole bunch of Christian counselors across the country, and they all are very concerned about anger in our culture today. Now, we've all seen, cable news is just a bunch of people yelling at each other.
Yeah.
I feel like years ago, it wasn't always that way.
No, not always. There was a point where Fox News had Alan Colmes and Sean Hannity together.
I was just thinking about that.
A liberal and a conservative. So
they didn't yell at each other?
No, a little bit, but not too much.
They would share differing perspectives.
Yeah.
So they just got rid of Alan Colmes, and now just about yelling and being mad.
And they would get the 4-panel discussion group where you couldn't understand, the first person would start an answer, and from then it was just chaos.
And they're just talking over each other. Everyone's just talking.
Yes. And I don't get that. If I were the producer, I would be muting those people. And if they just kept talking, black out their screen, be like, okay, we're trying to get information here. But that's me.
Well, we saw it leak into presidential debates, right? Where now they have to turn off the other person's microphone.
Yes, because it started, I believe, some guy yelling, "I am outraged." At, another guy making his comparison to John F. Kennedy or something. And
before they could, take turns.
Yeah. And
but not anymore.
If you didn't like what the guy said, use part of your 2 minutes to give a rebuttal to him.
And then now my other favorite in presidential debates, tied to anger, of course, is candidate A, tell us about your position on this. And their answer is, that guy over there, total idiot. I'm not going to answer your question at all. I'm just going to tell you how dumb they are. Unbelievable stuff. Now, somebody might be like, yeah, you're right. America really is mad. Are Christians angry?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You said that very fast. So how are we seeing Christians angry? What are they?
I mean, I'm in charge of monitoring our YouTube comments and our Facebook comments. And if we say something that's controversial or people don't like, even though our position is very clear, we are Christians, we just like to have discussions, people get really mad at us and they get mad at each other in the comments.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Where else are you guys seeing it?
When something that we perceive as our right is taken away or restricted in some regard. People, not being allowed to have more than a certain number of people in your church service because there was a worldwide pandemic going on with a bug that we didn't know how it would affect people. So then, they tried to extrapolate out, well, if you're singing, you're projecting more air forward, so you probably should be every other pew and only sit in family units and some of that stuff. they didn't know. They were doing the best they could, but yet Christians came out like, okay, this is the Antichrist. Where is the beast who's been shot in the head and come back to life? You know, they're
two
trying
witnesses
to,
and the
yeah, and it was just a government stumbling through trying to keep the population safe.
Yeah, and I think the idea of righteous anger is abused. Here's what I mean, and I've done this myself. It's something makes me upset. I'm a Christian, therefore I'm just going to call it righteous anger so I can keep being mad. I think Christians do it all the time. We don't bother to figure out what righteous anger really is and how it plays itself out, what it feels like and looks like. We just go, Jesus flipped tables. I'm going to flip them too. Here's a whip. Get him. Tell me where I'm wrong.
I think we talked about this just a couple weeks ago. Righteous anger is not getting mad at an offense to you. It's getting mad at an offense to God. And not just like, we talked earlier, God cannot be offended. But when Jesus got mad in the Bible, it was usually a result of sin.
And he was usually the only one angry, is what we learned.
Yeah, and I saw somebody write about this where after Jesus flipped over tables, the lame and the sick came right up to him and asked to be healed. So they felt safe around his anger.
It wasn't scary.
It wasn't scary at all. Although it sounded scary. It clearly wasn't. Now, some psychologists in this Christianity Today piece call anger a smoke detector. Like it's sounding an alarm that something is wrong.
Something else is going on.
Yeah, but anger is not necessarily why somebody would go to a counselor, but they should view it as a warning sign. And you did.
I did, yeah.
Why are you the exception in this? Like, what is it, do you think, that caused you to go, something's not right here? Because you could have said, I should be angry. I have a 15-month-old. I'm not sleeping.
I wasn't sleeping. It's the age where a child knows what they want and they really want it, but they don't know how to communicate yet. And so it's just a lack of communication, miscommunication between the parents and the child. I'm not really much of an angry person. I'm also not a person who really is riled up that easily, like jarred that easily. And it was like the second something happened, I was angry and just kind of like flew off the handle. And it was just like, this is not who I am. This is not my personality. Something is not right here. Is it something like a postpartum anxiety? Is it postpartum rage? Is there something like hormonally that's like, I need to get fixed here, or I need to find some tools because I'm not being a good mom and I'm not being a good wife when I'm so angry all the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you being willing to share that, and it's so good. And I hope it connects to somebody listening right now, because as Christianity Today indicated, anger in personal relationships is often someone not knowing how to communicate the feelings they're having, feelings like fear, uncertainty, a sense of injustice, not being understood or respected. Those can bubble out as anger.
Yeah, anger is a secondary emotion, and it's usually a defense mechanism for the stuff underneath that you don't want to share or don't know how to share.
And to make it more complicated, psychologists are bringing up something called, I never heard of this, parasocial relationships. You're familiar with this.
Yeah. You think you have a relationship with someone on the internet, you feel like you know them, but you don't actually know them.
Yes. I hadn't heard about that. I felt it, right? Where your favorite, I don't know, YouTube star or whatever, or your favorite podcaster, they get in trouble, they get canceled, and you just get upset, you get angry when you don't know them.
Even a celebrity.
Even a celebrity.
It doesn't have to be like a influencer, but it's a celebrity. You see them on the internet, you don't actually know them.
Or a well-known pastor even.
And those parasocial relationships, it could be politicians as well. In this day and age, I think it's particularly politicians. Suddenly, you can get angry because of something that happens to them, and you have not, nor will you ever, meet them. And I think this has got to be a modern phenomenon.
You don't know them personally.
Right.
You don't actually know who they are. You know what they've put themselves out there to be and what they've allowed you to see.
This has to be new, right?
Well, it's new.
Like a modern era.
It's new in so much of like the modern era where internet, yeah.
I think even with the advent of like the radio or the television, it used to be you would just read about these people in a newspaper, and the news would be like months late because it took time to get it delivered. But now it's instantaneous. You could hear them, you can see them, and I wonder if our brains are just not able to, process that divide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and these counselors were like, I wish somebody would come in and go, I think I need some help. I really have been having trouble with angry Facebook posts lately. Like I'm having trouble managing angry discussions on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. You need a lot more counselors.
Yeah, seriously.
Right? And one church's solution I thought was pretty creative, it was kind of like a 12-step program kind of thing, but it was it is peer-led support groups where people have a safe place outside of their family to go and process through what they're feeling and thinking.
Yeah.
They may not be at a clinical level, but they can go, man, I was like raging yesterday online and I'm so embarrassed. What was I doing?
Yeah.
And you can have other people give you solid feedback, biblically speaking. I loved that idea.
Yeah, a place you can be honest, but you have to be willing to be honest.
Right.
Christians have got to get off of the angry train.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to get sucked into it. Because I know people who have like cable news as background noise in their house.
I mean, anger is not a good depiction of our Lord.
No.
It wasn't his norm.
And for a lot of Christians, it's uncertainty. That's as they indicate in this piece, uncertainty is breeding anger. Mm. And we really have two choices with uncertainty. But at the end of the day, focusing on Christ should calm your uncertainty because he's providentially going to work things together for your good.
Yeah, we know the end of the story already.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he gave it to us early. Because these like in-between times, between when he's here and when, he makes a new heaven and new earth, it's the scary, tumultuous times. We know that it's going to be like that. So that's why he already told us the end, is so that we don't have to worry. We don't have to feel uncertain. We can always say, but I know what's coming.
We can feel sad about society going down the tubes, but we don't have to be angry about it.
Yep.
But I think a lot of us are just angry about it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to get help. Christians, we cannot be known for our anger, and I think we are.
I think so too.
So consider talking to a counselor, a pastor, a friend. If you're finding yourself angry, it's time to get help. I didn't bring this up before. I've brought it up on the show before, but I had this anger issue too I had to get dealt with. And it was one night I really knew it was a problem. I had made dinner for the kids. Sarah was at work. She was just new working. And so that was already throwing me off.
Yeah.
And the kids were whining and crying and doing something. And I got mad. I thought I could express my anger by just chucking a fork.
Oh.
Which is a bad idea. I was alone in the kitchen. I was just like, well, let's just go in the sink, make a loud noise. Nope. Hit the glass salt shaker, which shattered glass and salt all over dinner.
Mm.
Oh, no.
I had to throw dinner in the garbage. I knew I had an issue to deal with.
Yeah.
I should have known a lot sooner. Get help, Christian. We can't let ourselves walk around angry all the time. It's 8:02. It's time for Ron's News and today's Moron Moment. Coming up here, though, in just a couple of minutes. A new streaming service? Ron's going to be excited. Daria's going to hate it. We'll get to that in just a minute.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Russia and Ukraine are swapping prisoners. It's 8:03. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The two countries swapped 115 prisoners of war on Saturday, with the United Arab Emirates acting as an intermediary. It marked the first exchange since Ukraine launched a surprise attack earlier this month on Russia's Kursk region. Reuters says it was the largest attack by a foreign power inside Russian territory since World War II. An Erie County road was shut down for hours Saturday night due to an accident involving a Toyota Scion and a train. The Highway Patrol reports the driver of the Scion was crossing a set of railroad tracks when the crossing gates came down. When the driver's vehicle got stuck, officers say the driver, a 26-year-old woman, was able to exit the Scion and step away before the car was hit by the oncoming train. And GOP officials are looking to find voting observers in Ohio and 17 other states. RNC Chair Michael Whatley says the plan is to put at least 5,000 observers at polling places in Ohio on the day of the presidential election, November 5th. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Counseling, it's what God created you to do. When you earn your Master of Arts in Clinical Mental Health Counseling from Moody Bible Institute, you'll be equipped to help others become who God created them to be. Study at Moody's Chicago or Michigan campus, where you can secure certificates in the areas of marriage, family, and couples counseling, as well as trauma-informed counseling. Learn more and get started on your counseling career today. Go to moody.edu/counseling.
In sports, the Guardians doubled up the Rangers 4-2. The Pirates walked off the Reds 4-3. And if you missed it, the Browns fell to the Seahawks Saturday 37-33, while the Steelers lost to the Lions 24-17. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny this morning, then becoming partly cloudy. It's going to be hot today with the high temperature in the lower 90s. At last check, clear skies over Cleveland. We're up to 72 degrees now. Akron and Canton, clear and 71. Youngstown reporting a fog and 67 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
We don't know who created National Toilet Paper Day, but they surely deserve a shout out for dedicating a day to honoring this humble yet important invention that is on the shopping list for many a trip to the supermarket. It wasn't until 1857 that toilet paper began even being sold in the United States. Back then, toilet paper was loose, flat sheets of paper. And then in 1930, the Germans invented the perforated rolls that we have today, consisting of 1,000 small sheets that were used and separated by a perforation. Even in the 60s, toilet paper came in different colors, usually in pink and green, to match the popular bathroom hues of the day. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:06. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Day. It's Mornings with Brian, WCRF. And ladies, we're going to talk more in detail in a moment here about the Renew Women's Conference, but get your tickets. It's coming up a week from Saturday. Canton Baptist Temple, Panera for lunch, all the speakers, that girl. That girl, like, as in which one? Well, I don't know, both of them. Doesn't matter.
Well, both there.
Lauren and Daria and Kelly.
She's an honorary member just for Renew.
And she's going to be with us next Friday for Vault Friday.
Oh, fun.
All of that girl.
Wow.
In stewed.
Including Lauren Sparkles, Daria Doily.
Sure.
Kelly Coffee.
Yes.
Do I get to be in the band since I'm there?
Sure, why not? You could be a backup dancer or something.
Oh, nice. So we will have dancing.
Yes.
I don't want to be distractingly good, you know. I want people to
B-boy
focus
Brian.
on you. B-boy. I could be just as good as Australia's
exactly.
representative. I could put it that way.
0 points.
I want to do the one where it lays on the ground sideways and she moves her. Yeah, that's one I would do really good. Okay. We'll get to more on that in a minute, but text Renew to 440-546-2255. Full honesty, no lying. It's Christian radio. We're going to go around the horn. How many streaming services do you actually pay for?
Do we actually pay for, or do we use from somebody else?
Well, I don't want you to talk about stealing on the radio, Lauren.
If they allow you to have multiple
I guess
accounts,
ones you're
I don't
paying
know
for
what's
is
the
what I'm
problem.
looking for.
Okay.
How many? When you have it, go.
Oh, it's going to take me a minute. I can say them out loud. Amazon Prime, obviously.
And you get that with the subscription, so
Yes.
like Prime.
Yeah. Amazon Prime, Netflix, YouTube TV. I think those are the only ones we pay for.
Oh, wow. I'm in trouble. Ron, you probably don't pay for any. No, you pay for one because Dana makes you.
We got Amazon Prime, Netflix, and Paramount.
Oh, Paramount.
Paramount does have the good ones.
It's got The Office on it. It's what one of my kids likes about it.
It's got Star Trek.
Oh.
Wow.
All the Star Trek is all over there.
Paying for 3. I'm shocked.
So am I, now that I think about it.
He's going to go home and
have a
reevaluate.
conversation, yeah.
Sorry, Dana. Daria?
Just one.
Which one?
Spotify.
Oh, I have that too. I forgot about that one.
But you read books.
Yeah, we're just, when we want to watch a show, we will get a streaming service for like a couple months, and then like we rotate it out if we want to watch something different or cancel this one. We're just not much on TV.
I'm about to embarrass myself here.
Go ahead, please.
Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus.
Well, they're the same. Hulu and Disney Plus.
Yeah. One of my kids pays for Paramount.
Okay.
It's in your household. We'll count it.
And we also do Spotify as a family. It's 6.
You don't have Prime?
I said Prime.
Oh.
6. It's embarrassing. But here's our problem, right? Sarah and I keep talking
Apple
about
TV.
how we're going to... No, we canceled that. We used to have that. It was great, too, but we canceled it. We're like, we got to start shaving off some stuff. Let's pick one to cancel. And we're down to... We go entry level on like Netflix. It's $7.
Yeah.
And then you go, I'm going to cut off Netflix and I'm going to save $7 a month. That's not that much.
$84 a year.
But you're not going to make a dent in your monthly budget with $7.
You just maybe don't get like a coffee or something once.
Right. So we struggle with that one. But we're all going to have a new one to get. There's a brand new streaming service coming to you from Chick-fil-A.
I don't know about this. I don't know about this.
I have sensed something like this coming. They've broken into kids' entertainment.
What do you mean you knew about this?
I didn't know about this, but they launched some sort of mini-series on YouTube.
Yeah, I was reading about
What about
that.
cows?
No. No.
If only we could be so lucky.
It's
They can't spell?
Penny cake?
Yeah. I think that's what it says.
Penny cake.
Mhm.
It's they offer games, puzzles, and activities to bring the family closer together. Penny cake. And Stories of Evergreen Hills was a YouTube series from Chick-fil-A. Is anyone asking for fast food restaurants to start streaming services?
And that's not a lot of material to launch a streaming service.
But didn't like McDonald's have like, maybe I'm just making it like way bigger in my head, you know, with like the Hamburglar and whatever. There was like,
It was never a full series, but they had a whole thing going.
Yeah.
The Hamburglar, Grimace, my
Yes,
favorite
exactly.
one. No one knows what his deal is.
Yeah.
You've got the Fry Guys.
Yes, right.
And there was some girl. What was she doing?
I don't know.
No, Grimace is the Shake.
No,
So what
Grimace was like the purple
guy.
blob, and then they
Right,
named the
but-
Shake after him.
Right.
But yeah,
I mean,
there was
he's tied to the Shake.
There was
like the
some
Fry
girl
Guys.
though.
So what was she?
We don't know what she was doing, but she was a girl. But
So
she didn't have a show.
They
or
do
anything.
like there has been a little bit more. My thing is maybe just like stay with what you're good at. I don't know.
Well, they are really concerned about families. We know that.
Yes.
They want to bring families together. It's the ethos of their restaurant.
Yes.
They want it to be kind of like Cheers, where you go in there and they're like, "Oh, it's Ron again. Hey, Ron, you want the huge?"
My friend does frequent
pleasure.
her Chick-fil-A so much they know her.
Wow.
Like, hey.
I think it's part of their training. They're supposed to know you,
Mhm.
right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah. So
Jimmy knows, like, he can come home and talk about his regulars by name.
Wow.
And it's not that he is doing that. He's instructed to learn them.
I think so, but that's also just kind of his nature.
I mean, I used to do that, but it was a bar, so it's different. Chick-fil-A.
Well, I just went through a drive-through, and I could tell that
They knew you?
the young people, no.
Oh.
The young people behind the scenes were not in like a super great mood, but when she turned to hand me my food,
She was.
instant good mood.
That's customer service 101.
Yeah, yeah, doing a great job. By the way, this just in from Alan. Birdie is the woman from McDonald's.
Mayor
cartoon lore.
McCheese.
Mayor McCheese. How could I forget
Yes.
Mayor McCheese? I used to crawl around inside his head in the playground.
Oh,
There was
gosh.
this thing you'd crawl around inside Mayor McCheese's
Can't
head.
forget Ronald, of course.
Yeah, well, he
Rest
was
in peace, Ronald.
scary. But so they want to bring families together at Chick-fil-A. So they're going to focus on family-friendly shows for their streaming service. In fact, they're focusing on original content. It's going to be lots of unscripted shows, which means reality TV.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're going to have Paris Hilton buying chicken sandwiches and
What could the shows possibly be about?
I'm trying to see how that would fit in with kids' entertainment.
Now let's see how
Kids reality TV.
well, but we're
Follow
gonna
me
s-
to the park.
Now Daria may change her tune here because they're budgeting $400,000 per half hour.
What do you mean? You don't even know what tune I'm playing?
Well, you're a contrarian.
Maybe I like this.
Do you?
I kind of do.
You're just saying that now because you're being contrarian to me saying you're a contrarian. You're not going to like it. I know your game. $400,000 per half hour. They're going to have game shows from Glassman Media, which they came up with NBC's The Wall. Never heard of it, but
yeah, I've heard of Mark Glassman entertainment stuff. So
Is that
he's
the
been-
one where I think I watched this as a kid? Like, you have to contort your body to like get through weird shapes as like there's a wall coming
No.
towards you, or is that a different one?
I don't know, but I remember seeing that.
And then Sugar 23 is the production company that came up with 13 Reasons Why on Netflix. They're working with this new adventure. They've been given a 10-episode order, according to Variety.
Okay.
Daria,
Would
you
you-
like this?
You're upset that I kind of like this.
Yes, he is.
In fact, they hired Brian Gibson, who's a producer who credits with credits on Top Gear USA, Super Nanny, and Dancing with the Stars, and The X
Super
Factor.
Nanny.
He's leading the programming charge.
Wow. So
So
he
he's
knows what he's
legit.
doing.
He's too legit to quit, Ron, actually. So he won't be quitting anytime soon.
I mean, I think it's on brand for them. I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm a little curious about what a non-scripted kids show is going to look like. I don't think it's a bad idea though.
I'll say I think it's a bad idea, but I also thought the iPad was a horrible idea. I remember watching that with Sarah, the thing.
The
we're like,
reveal.
who wants that? That's so dumb.
Oh, we made fun of the first girl in our class to get one. Like, oh, you're so spoiled. That's so stupid. What are you going to do with that?
All kinds of stuff.
So I'm not good at
We
judging
use 'em
those
every
things. Yeah. Lauren, do you like this?
I would just like them to like do their one thing really good instead of other things. That's all.
Yeah, like, guys, I don't need you to do more than chicken. Like, you're doing
Yeah.
a really great
Chicken
job
and
at
waffle
that.
fries. I'm good.
And customer service, you're nailing that.
But then
And their sauces.
that attitude, Jeff Bezos would just be an online bookstore with his Amazon.
This is, again, why I'm not an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah, me neither.
Very narrow vision. You like it, Ron.
I think there's potential. It doesn't sound like anything I would even if it was free, tune into, let alone pay any money.
You're already surprised you're subscribing yourself to 3 different services. Why would you add a 4th?
Right.
Yeah, I don't. At some point, we're going to have too many streaming options.
We're already there, but I don't think we have enough for kids. Like there are streaming services that like have kids content, but like a lot of parents are concerned because it's too easy to get to the stuff they're not supposed to see.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. And I feel like the Hallmark Channel's going after family audiences, and I'm just not going to watch the same movie over and over again. I hope they can figure out how to make a variety of content that's family friendly, not just like awkward love story
with the same 12 actors mixed and matched.
And can we just, God bless her, but can Candace Cameron Bure not be on this?
Or Lori Loughlin.
Can we have them just not
Full
be
House
on this,
2.0.
this network? Thanks. All right. It's 8:21. Time for a quick break. When we come back, we got to chat a little bit about the panel discussion for Renew, and we've got something we want to give away.
Moody Radio is thankful for The Forge, the latest movie from the Kendrick brothers about the lasting influence one person can have on another through discipleship. But what does discipleship look like? When someone comes to Christ, it's only the beginning. A new believer is a spiritual infant who needs mature believers around them who will show them the way and help them grow in God's Word. The Forge, in theaters now. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
Her name is Jenny, and maybe like you, she and her husband got tired of their health care getting more and more expensive, so they did it. They went with MediShare.
We signed on with MediShare in March, had a really great experience. It was super easy to get going with them. And then in October of that same year, we found out that I had stage 3 breast cancer.
We were put at ease with MediShare, guiding us and walking with us and saying that they were going to be praying for us.
It's very intentional how they try to bless people when they know this is one of the hardest things that they're going through.
They and their 4 kids thank the Lord, not only for her healing and how he provided for them, but she says it makes her emotional just realizing how she gets to pay it forward.
What we put towards MediShare is going to be blessing another mom, and they're going to show up for her the way that they showed up for me.
You save a lot, and you're part of something really, really good. Call now. It's 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
Keeping your eyes on Jesus in a changing culture can be difficult. Let us help. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
823 WCRF. Ladies, we've got a wonderful opportunity this year at the Renew Women's Conference. It's a week from Saturday, Canton Baptist Temple. You got to get your tickets to go, but we're doing a panel discussion. And I had a really good time watching behind the scenes as the women on our team. I mean, they included me on this. I don't know why you did. I do not have...
Courtesy.
Yeah, it's an excellent question.
Did you wonder yourselves when you saw my name on this email stream?
I actually did think, what is Brian doing here?
Like, I was not going to even dare to put an idea in there for women to discuss.
Yes, very good.
But you all threw down some great ideas. But Kelly, our friend Kelly Ryder, she just said, sit down, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the idea.
That's right.
And it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, the panel will be discussing that there isn't one uniform path for women of faith. And you all were like, yes. So what does that really mean? There's not one uniform path. Where does that come from?
I think there's just this expectation that Christian women all fit in this certain mold, and you fit in the mold on a certain timeline. Like, so Kelly's like, she didn't get married till her 30s. And so she says that comes with a lot of comparison. My friends are married. My friends have kids. What's wrong with me? And I think most women experience that to some degree. We are very hard on ourselves. We're comparing ourselves to other women. This is what I should be doing. When the truth is, the Bible doesn't really say what the one thing is that a woman should be doing, other than following and serving Jesus.
Have you felt this way before? That there's some sort of woman path that you're either falling behind on or on a different one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I mean, at a Christian college, your expectation is you find your husband, you get married, probably during school if you can. And I didn't. I didn't start dating my now husband until after school.
Did you feel bad about that in some way?
Yeah. I didn't really date anybody at school, and that was weird. Why aren't you, like, finding a husband?
Was it just all those boys were annoying and Eddie was always dating somebody?
Yeah, basically. And then we also waited 4 years to have children, which is odd.
Did you
in our
have
Christian culture.
feels about that too?
I didn't. I mean, I knew that it was what was right for us, but I think a lot of people expect you to just get married and have kids right away. I'm also a working mom, which is very not the norm for the Christian culture. I got questions when I first got pregnant, people asking me outright if I was going to keep working.
Did that bother you?
Yeah.
Why?
First of all, it's not their business. And because it also was like a question about my finances, which is, again, not their business. And it doesn't make me a lesser mom to work.
No.
And the implication is I'm a lesser mom if I am working.
And sometimes it's not even implied.
Yeah, sometimes it's told.
But I've even seen from a distance, there's like two groups. There's the moms who work and the moms who stay home, which is also working very hard, by the way. No one's saying it's not. But
no, they work harder than me.
They're both pretty hard on each other, both groups.
Yeah, they can be.
Like there's some kind of like condescension maybe to the stay-at-home moms.
Mm-hmm.
And then the stay-at-home moms are all judgy of the working moms, like, you're not being a good mom.
Yes.
Why do you all do that to each other?
I think it's these, norms, quote unquote, that we've put out in our culture, Christian or not Christian culture.
Is it, now I'm just going to tiptoe towards this. Is it possible that the stay-at-home moms kind of quietly wish they could work too and pursue their careers, and that the working moms secretly wish they could stay home
Yeah,
too?
I think there's definitely some of that. Longing for what you don't have. I think a lot of working moms, some may be really happy and this is their choice that they want to do this. Some don't have a choice and they have to work. And so they feel sad that they have to go to work. But they don't really have an option right now in our current economic climate. And then there's some stay-at-home moms where this is the decision that they made as a family and this is what the best for their family unit. But it doesn't mean that she wishes she has some time away and some time for herself, even if that means the time for herself is at work.
And it just creates, I think, a division and discontent among women where they get isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a colleague teaching who was an amazing high school teacher, and she had 2 little boys. And she's just like, Brian, I couldn't do it. I tried to stay home. I just couldn't do it. I admire women who can do that, but I just can't.
Yeah, some people have different capacities.
And that's okay. That's the thing. It doesn't make you less of a woman.
No. But we compare ourselves, and that's what this whole panel is about, is why are we constantly comparing ourselves to this, quote, norm that has not been set out in Scripture?
Yeah, and my Sarah, I've talked about this before, but she went through a season where she felt bad that she enjoyed her job. She thought as a mom she was supposed to enjoy being a mom most and then job second.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you can like both. It's okay.
And I think there's other seasons of life, too, that we compare ourselves to. Maybe there's your grandma and you wish that you were closer with your grandkids, whether that's proximity, like location, or you pictured a life that you would be watching your grandkids twice a week and your adult daughter doesn't want anything to do with you. But your best friend's adult daughter is super great friends with her mom. And so you long for that relationship with your daughter and you don't have it. Or you long for that relationship with your grandkids and you don't have it.
Or you've been a grandparent and you're getting older and you have adult children.
And
all your friends have grandkids and you don't.
Yeah. You pictured a life of, being in your 60s and 70s and having grandkids around at holidays and you don't have any. And you compare yourself to your best friend who does have 18 grandkids.
So there isn't one uniform path for women of faith. And what we're going to do at the Renew Women's Conference is Daria's going to lead a panel discussion with 3 totally different women of faith. Dr. Julie Slattery will be on the panel, along with Glenna Marshall, again, author, speaker, pastor's wife, Taylor James, children's director at New Community Bible Fellowship. They're going to be up there together, and Daria will ask them some hard-hitting questions and thoughtful questions about this idea of women struggling to find their path and missing out on unity and friendship and relationship. That's what you're going to experience at the Renew Women's Conference. And that alone is worth the price of admission, let alone each of those people on the panel are going to be speaking as well.
Yeah. And pay attention to the stage. Don't look in the back of the room because there might be a couple of men hanging out back there.
Yeah, I'll be hanging out.
It sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
And the women on our panel are all very different walks of life.
Very different.
Yeah, we'll hear from Glenna Marshall this Thursday. She's coming on the show, but I know she struggled with infertility for several years, and she's been a pastor's wife for 20 years.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, you will feel heard and represented at this in some measure. So go, bring a friend, bring your women's group, bring your mom, your daughter, your sister, your neighbor, your auntie, somebody, grandma. And in fact, we want to send somebody, right?
Yes, we do.
Somebody and a friend?
Someone and a friend.
So right now, we're going to be giving away a pair of registrations to the Renew Women's Conference, which is, again, a week from Saturday. From Saturday at Canton Baptist Temple. Ladies, you can go, okay? And we're going to send somebody with somebody else. So it's a pair of registrations. We're going to have to pick caller number, Daria, caller number?
5.
Caller number 5 right now, 440-546-2255. Caller number 5 right now, 440-546-2255. You call, and we'll announce the winner here in just a few minutes.
Tombstones. They sum up an entire life in just a few words. If I could do it all over again, Christian leaders share the most important lessons of their lives. Has Bible teacher Tony Evans thought about what he wants on his tombstone?
Yes, and what I would like is that he knew God and helped others to know him too.
That's Dr. Tony Evans on what he wants on his tombstone. And here's Josh McDowell.
He followed Jesus, loved his wife, and spent time with his children. If you are a true follower of Christ, you will love your wife, and you will love and spend time with your children. And to me, if you go through life and accomplish so many great things, quote, for the kingdom, and you lose your marriage and your family, you failed. You failed.
Thoughts from Josh McDowell. Dr. Gary Chapman, author of The 5 Love Languages.
What would I like on my tombstone? You know, years ago, I went to the cemetery and found the grave of a lady named Lottie Moon, who served as a missionary in China. And for Southern Baptists, she became the lady for whom they named the annual missions offering, the Lottie Moon Christmas offering. And as children, everybody learned about Lottie Moon and her ministry. So I was eager to find her tombstone. And I went there, and to be frank, I was a little surprised that it was a very, very small stone. And on the stone were the words, simply these words, faithful unto death. And I wept, and I said, God, that's what I want, to be faithful unto death. If those words can be truly said, I will be happy.
Reflections from Gary Chapman. This has been a production of Moody Radio, a ministry of Moody Bible Institute, based on the book, If I Could Do It All Over Again.
1959, Cuba.
This is the biggest demonstration in Cuba's history. Almost 1 million people are here. There is Fidel Castro, the leader.
Cuba then became a one-party, communist and atheist state.
When the revolution took over in 59, things becomes bad to the churches.
But today, this longtime Cuban pastor sees hope.
We really think that this is our time to reach our country. Now people are willing to listen to the gospel.
Cuba needs Jesus. Cuba needs you. You can be part of something really big. Join TWR in taking the good news of Jesus into Cuba every night by radio.
Radio waves can reach everywhere. Any Cuban could listen to the gospel.
Partner today with TWR. Go to CubaNeedsJesus.org.
Good morning, Cleveland. Thanks for choosing us to help you start your day. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
This is Moody Radio. It's 8:37, and you don't see Lauren kind of melt very often, but I can't resist.
Yes.
Daria did something on Facebook that made you begin to melt.
Yes, it's National Dog Day.
Today is National Dog Day.
Yes. So she posted your two dogs, Louie and Gunner, and said, show us your dogs. So the comments are filled with pictures of our listeners' dogs. And my favorite thing about animals is when people name their animals human names.
So not
like if you named a cat like Robert. I love that.
Do you have a thing about it that you love, or you just think it sounds funny? So what are some of the favorites you're seeing right now?
Well, my favorite one was Mike, obviously. His name is Mike, and it's a dog. I love that.
That's Broadview Heights Bill, world's greatest neighbor. If you're not familiar, we used to talk about him all the time.
Love.
It's his doggy.
Mike.
Mike is a great dog.
Yes. Janet posted her dog Rusty, and he's just very cute.
Rusty, I like
he's
that
just
name.
Look at him. He's just sitting there. Oh my gosh.
He looks like he's embarrassed to get a haircut. What he looks like.
Well, yeah, kind of exposed when you're a dog getting a haircut.
You can't even look at my Louie. What's that about?
His eyes are really human.
He has these big brown eyes.
Yes, Louie's eyes are too human for my liking. He's very cute and very sweet, but it's just like, don't look at me because it freaks me out.
Who gave you those human eyes, you dog?
There's like too light. They're not dark enough. They're just too human.
He's a sweet boy.
He is.
He's very big.
Cash Money, a 2-year-old.
Cash Money is the baby, is the dog's name?
Yeah, Meet. A baby?
Whoops.
Meet Cash Money, 2-year-old Bernedoodle.
Oh, those are great dogs.
Oh my gosh. Or this one, Rudy. He looks crazed. I love it.
You want a cat named Robert.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Daria, time for another cat lady.
Yeah, please get a cat and name it Robert.
What are your cats' names again?
Hobbs and Olive.
Or, I don't know, like...
Anthony?
David. Just so funny.
That's so cute. Yeah, go post a picture of your dog. We'd love to see it. And Lauren, in particular, would love to see it.
Yes,
She'll melt.
I would.
Ron is not with dog right now. You guys have had dogs over the years.
Yes, we
He's
have.
not with dog.
What were their names?
Bean and Leah were the most recent.
That is so cute.
Bean and Leah. Oh.
We had PD before that. In my growing up years, we had Vicky, Duchess, King.
Vicky.
You guys throw in a human name every once in a while in there. A lot of dog names, but Vicky and Leah, they sound like sisters.
Someone texted that we have a Luke, Lincoln, and Lily, and Luke is too much for me. I love that.
Someone else had a cat named
Yes.
Steven. You'd love that.
Oh my gosh. It's just so funny.
I've discovered I get outvoted on all names for animals.
Why?
The kids and Sarah now are just like, I'll go, I like this one. They're like, no, you won't be naming this animal. Thank you, bye. And they name it. So
Well, if it's a majority.
like our donkey's name is Cody, and I just would not have chosen that.
It suits him, though, I think.
Well, you're just saying that because you don't know many donkeys, and you already knew his name was Cody.
Right.
Yeah, but it suits him.
Does it?
Yeah. He's not too rambunctious. So it's just like a mellow name.
Oh, he's pretty persnickety, that guy.
And that word has been your word for about 2 weeks, and I'm ready for it to, phase out to a different word, please.
Wow.
Persnickety.
I love the Cody video where spring you first let him out in the field and he's running.
Yeah, the
and then he
zoomies.
jumps
Yeah, the
between the
zoomies.
two
So cute.
trees.
He hops between the trees. The best.
The other day I had this flea treatment. You kind of, it's like a liquid you pour on their back a little bit, and it just kind of seeps into them, right? And he's so smart. Like, doggies tend to be this way. I'm holding the container of this stuff. He lets me go stand up next to him and pet him. But then he hears me unscrew the cap, and he runs for it.
He said, no, you're not putting that on me.
Yeah. Like, how did you know the cap was going to be the problem?
Smart.
And so then I'd get him to let me pet him again, and then I'd take the cap off, and then he'd run away again. So I had to take the cap off.
Leave it off
For a while and trick him. It worked. Dogs can be that way. Louie is so smart, my Louie dog. He can trick Gunner, who's very anxious. Like, you can't pet Louie without Gunner getting mad about it. So he will pretend he has to go out to the bathroom, Louie, just to make Gunner go out. And then as soon as Gunner runs out, Louie turns around as we close the door because he wants attention by himself.
Oh my gosh.
And that is conniving.
It's very conniving, yeah. Oh, it's Chloe. Chloe's taking a nap already this morning.
In the sun.
It's a rough night for Chloe. Got to take a nap. It's so great. So go post your dog pictures on our National Dog Day thing, and you can see a picture of my doggies. I love them. Gunnar and Louie. They're sweet boys.
They're ginormous.
They are pretty big. Coming up in just a minute, we're going to also chat about schools. There was an article from a public school teacher about Christians and the choices they make when it comes to schooling.
Moody Radio is on the air thanks to support of listeners and Hawkins Sales. They've been serving the electrical industry nationwide for over 30 years. More information about Hawkins Sales is at hawkinssales.com.
Moody Radio is thankful for The Forge, the latest movie from the Kendrick brothers about the lasting influence one person can have on another through discipleship. What does discipleship look like? The early disciples devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, which means they committed to actively hearing, reading, and obeying the Word of God. That's discipleship. The Forge, in theaters now. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
Pursue your passion for shepherding, teaching, and ministry leadership with a Master of Divinity from Moody Theological Seminary. New for fall of 2025. Earn the same world-class degree in a shorter amount of time. We've reduced credit hours to earn a degree while maintaining the quality and course content essential for effective ministry. Need flexibility? Take classes online or on our Chicago or Michigan campuses. Even interchange between all options on a class-by-class basis. Get started at moody.edu/MDiv.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland. 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on 3.3.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3. At 6 to 9 a.m.
848 WCRF, Mornings with Brian. Again, Renew Women's Conference. Text for more information. It's a week from Saturday. Text Renew to 440-546-2255. Get your tickets. It's really, there's only a couple of choices for families on where they're going to send their kids to school, right? I mean, you have public school, charter schools, which are kind of like fancy private or fancy public schools. Mm-hmm. Then you have private Christian education, and you have homeschooling. Those are really our choices. What all? I grew up in public school.
I did half and half.
Half and half.
Half public school, half Christian school.
Which half?
I went to public school for elementary and part of middle school, and then the other part of middle school and high school I went to Christian school.
Why did you switch?
We moved, and the schools in that area my parents didn't prefer, so they put me in a Christian school.
Okay. Ronald?
Public school the whole way.
Did you have a choice, do you think? Was there a private school nearby? Maybe a Catholic school.
Yeah. St. Francis had a school.
I feel like every Catholic school is called St. Francis.
Yeah, or St. Mary's.
It's not.
They went up to junior high.
Okay.
And Medina Christian, I don't believe, started till after I was out of high school, so that wasn't an option. I could have gone to CVCA, was in operation.
It's been around forever.
Yeah. But we weren't, driving out there.
Now, Daria, you did what?
Public school all the way through.
Now, as you think about your own situation now, Lauren, you've said you want your boys to go to public school.
Yes.
That's an uncommon declaration, right? Especially for someone who went to Christian school.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you choose that?
In my experience, my husband also went to a Christian school. In my experience, the Christian school experience is not that different than a public school experience. We think that we're sheltering our kids from a lot of stuff, and you're not. Actually, a lot of times the kids that get kicked out of public schools get sent to the Christian schools.
Right.
And so you're exposed to the exact same stuff. And even greater than that is I felt like I wasn't quite prepared for the real world and what other people thought and what other people outside of my worldview thought about stuff, or how they viewed things, or how they talked, or how they interacted. And that was kind of a big hurdle I had to go through when I was older. And I would like for my sons to be able to experience those things while they're still under my authority as their parent, and they can come home and we can talk about that in light of our worldview as Christians, and they can say, yeah, there's people out in the world that think these things. Here's what we believe, and here's why. And be able to work through those things before it alters your entire life and you have a really hard time understanding that people think differently than you.
Now, you're not saying that's best for all Christian kids.
Nope.
You're not going to judge somebody who makes a different decision?
Nope.
So how should Christians make that determination? You and Eddie have created your framework. Is there a uniform framework in some way for us to make this decision for children?
I don't think so. I think it's based upon each family and what their values and wants and desires are for their family. It could also be based upon financial, what you can and can't afford to do.
Yeah, and that's lost oftentimes because many Christian communities are rather affluent, which is neither here nor there. It's just true. Even being able to choose to go to private school is a choice many people don't have. Mm-hmm. And there's been, I think, an article from Christianity Today indicates this, that there's, in recent years, a lot of Christians are leaving the public schools. Mm-hmm. They're upset about things that are being taught. They're upset about things that are not being taught. They're upset about various test score issues, whatever it might be. They're not happy about it. So they leave and they go to a private school. But the question becomes, who's left in public school if all the Christians leave? Who's left? I mean,
yeah, not Christians.
And the challenge we don't think about as well is the Christians will be gone in some respects, but also the people that are left are the ones that don't have a choice.
Yeah. So they feel like they've been left behind.
Yeah. And this writer is a public school teacher and says that whether or not your kids go to public school, Christians should actively be supportive of and support public schools in their area. I don't know that a lot of people would agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You think she's right?
I think so. That's my personal point of view.
Why? I mean, somebody might say, why would I care? I send my kids to private school. It's very expensive. Why should I care about the public school in my neighborhood?
Because there are kids that still go there.
Mm-hmm.
There are still people that exist that go there. Just because your kids go somewhere else doesn't mean that now no one goes to a public school. Somebody still has to go to school there, and their education does matter. And that should be important to us in our communities, what kind of education our kids are getting.
And these schools are community schools.
Yeah.
So
it's your neighbors.
Yeah, it's going to be your neighbors, the kids your kids play with at the rec center or anything like that you might do, unless you plan on not letting them intermingle with heathens at the rec center too.
Now, the one that'll surprise some people is that there's a lot of Christian families who choose public school because of special education. Because if your child has disabilities of some sort, whether they're physical or intellectual, a lot of Christian schools do not offer services.
Yeah.
The best services available for your child, if they have special needs, are in the public school system.
Mm-hmm.
And so what this teacher gave some suggestions, essentially, on how Christians could be supportive. But it's things like, we should be volunteering in our local public schools. We should be donating things. You should call up the principal, the school guidance counselor, see what needs are there. You should drop off school supplies. You should be supportive vocally, even if you don't have kids there, because there are neighbors, as you guys have indicated. I think I've seen an attitude almost of, let's just wash our hands of public schools. And I don't like that.
No.
Another problem you run into with that is then all the Christian influence from the schools are gone. If we all take up this isolationist attitude, which is, everyone has their own reasons. I'm not saying you should feel bad if your kids aren't in public school, but if we all pull our kids from public school, who's left to influence them for the kingdom? And I don't think Jesus wants us to just sequester ourselves away.
No, I don't think so. So I think she makes a pretty good point. As the school year begins, maybe your family's in a different situation. You've chosen to leave your local public school for a legitimate reason, whether it's tied to the school's decisions or your children's best interests, whatever it is. But it doesn't mean we can abandon children in our area and schools in our area. Mm-hmm. There's ways for us to be a light to them and not abandon them as Christians. 8:56 on WCRF. Perhaps we'll talk more about that on Friday, but at least it'll get the ball rolling as a brand new school year is upon.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Well, that just about does it because it's just before 9 o'clock here on WCRF. Again, text RENEW to get your Renew Women's Conference tickets. Text RENEW to 440-546-2255. We send you back a link that's got all the information where you can make your decision about whether you can go and then purchase the tickets right there. Remember, if your women's group wants to go, groups of 10 or more get $5 off each ticket.
Nice.
Yes.
I've heard most ladies like a deal.
Obviously, it's called girl math.
You're right. You could do girl math, and basically they're free, except you're going to pay for them. Sorry, we don't do that.
If you get 10 and all their $5 off, then you've basically got one free registration.
Yep.
And so each woman could claim, I'm going for free.
Yes. Someone's going for free.
That girl, they would say.
That's right. Everyone who goes is a part of that girl.
See all the reasons to go. Text RENEW to 440-546-2255. With that, though, we got to get out of the way for JD Green.